All right, welcome to the Stunthangar Friday Night Hangout. Yeah, my usual prompt lateness tonight, but Friday night, so we're just chilling. And as usual, I posted the link on the. Yeah, my usual. Shoot, I'm echoing. Lateness tonight. Stop that. Friday night, so we're just chilling. And we don't need to hear me twice. As usual, I posted the link on. There we go. Okay. As I was saying, as usual, I posted the link in the chat box next to the YouTube video, and I posted it on Stunthangar in the live streaming forum at the bench thread, and so you can get in that way. And if you're subscribed to YouTube for Stunthangar, then the link will show up in your notification bell on your own channel if you are a YouTube channel owner. So anyway, we'll sit here and hang out, usually run about 3 hours on Friday nights, maybe longer, maybe not. But if anybody wants to come talk about aero modeling, that's what we do. And we talk about model airplanes, model boats, model just about anything, or anything you can do with tools is cool too. So this is Rusty. I'll be here with you for the rest of the evening. Looks like we got 2 viewers and the YouTube side, I presume. Let me get everything straightened out on my screen. Ken Colbert. Hey, Ken. Good evening, buddy. Glad to see you've joined us. You're our first YouTube visitor. And got nobody over here to visit with us yet on the video side, but I presume there will be some coming along. And I didn't prepare anything special for tonight because I hadn't been out in the shop to do anything all week. But this past Monday night, we got a good recap of all the contests that our visitors went to. That's Jamie went and won the beginner pattern at his contest, and Charles won 3rd place, I believe, and advanced at his contest in the Golden State Stunt Championship. So, oh, hey, Frank, it's going pretty good. I'm gradually getting back up to speed. I'm still pushing that stupid walker around, so I hadn't been out to the shop to work on any models or anything, but hopefully the Cardinal's patiently waiting and not warping out there, and hope I can get out there to it soon, get back to work, and have a good plane to fly this coming spring. Since I'm not likely to go to any contests between now and then, I guess that's my mission, to get a new stunt ship built this winter, along with you guys. And Terry's building a Cardinal too, and we got a couple of other guys doing winter builds, so we will continue to talk about them. Oh, the Stros game. Oh, I forgot to turn it on. Jamie is watching the Astros, and Ron Haas is with us, or is that Haas or Haas? I never know which way to pronounce it, so I usually kind of say it somehow in between, so you can't tell that I don't know. But did I post Friday night did I post Monday night somewhere? Ken said this is Friday and not Monday. Let me find out where I posted the wrong thing and I'll fix it. It's Monday 10/20. Yeah, okay, hang on. I can edit that quickly here with the stroke of the editor's pen. Let's see. How do you do that? That's not the first time. No, I'm not confused about what night it is. I'm just confused about how to use a keyboard. Oh, for Pete's sake. I can't change it now. Let's see. Here we go. Friday. Friday. Got it. Save changes. Friday 10/27. Well, at least I got the date right. Okay. And then I hope I didn't cut y'all off when I did that. View on watch page. All of the chat should come back. Friday, 10/27. Well, at least I got the date right. Okay. It still says Monday. Cut y'all off. Stop. It still says Monday at the bottom of the video that I'm looking at. Oh, well, I might have screwed things up royally now because I don't seem to have a chat box. Damn it. I've got I've got all the wrong things showing now. Let's see if I can figure this out. Try the back button. Yeah, there it is. Okay, stop my video feed. And now we got it. Oh, everybody's going, ha, 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 LOL. Okay. Now we're back in action. It still says the wrong thing at the bottom of the chat box, the video box, but that doesn't matter. It says the right thing on the video that's being recorded to YouTube now. I presume, yes, it does. Okay. All right. So, duh. Let's see. Yeah, I got the date right. Okay. Let's see if I can not look stupid for the next 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I'll call it a success if I can get past that. Somebody please come visit me on the video side. So I'll have somebody else to bounce my dumbness off of. Maybe a cup of coffee out of my fucking bunny cup. All better now. Okay, well, that was the comedy introduction, and so now we can talk about model airplanes. So, what have you guys been doing this weekend? I got nobody on video, so we got Ron, Ken, we got Frank watching us, and Jamie, who is busy watching the Stros game. And I haven't watched the Stros since Joe Niekro was pitching, and that was only because it was Phil's brother, and I was a Braves fan. I wonder whatever happened to those guys. You know that one of the Braves' old catchers, what was his name, is NBA official now, referee now. I don't even know. He might be retired from that now. Biff, no, it wasn't Biff Pokeroba. Maybe it was. Shit, if I can remember. Those were the days. But I was a big Braves fan. I went to college in Atlanta, so that's where I picked up the Braves. And then when I came home from college, I found out my mom, who I hadn't really gotten to know as an adult, you know, that's kind of when our adult to adult relationship began, as opposed to teenager to adult relationship. And she was always a huge baseball fan, and she was a Braves fan. Of course, it was horrid baseball back then. And then Joe Torre came along, who was a winning guy and a pretty good personality too. But when he came with the Braves, it's like he just fell flat. He turned into a guy that didn't have a sense of humor and couldn't win a game. And we didn't know that much about him until he moved on and started coaching another team. And all of a sudden he's winning again. And he's a funny guy to listen to, talk to. And we're like, well, that's not the Joe Torre we knew. So we were, and then we got Bobby Cox back. They got tired of Joe. They fired Bobby, got Joe. Bobby went to the Toronto Blue Jays, and then they fired Joe and got Bobby back, and Bobby started winning. So that was back in like 91, 92. And I've been an avid Braves fan ever since, before those days, before it was cool to be a Braves fan. But this is Braves country. I only live 200 miles from Atlanta, so the bumper stickers on the cars in Atlanta used to say, "Go Braves and take the Falcons with you." And of course, my hometown team was the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. So every ball team I have ever pulled for in my life sucked, but I wouldn't know how to act if I had a winning team on my list of people to pull for. So it goes. All right. Ron says my club has a helo meet. Oh man, that'll be cool. Meaning helicopters, I presume. And somebody's trying to join us on video. Oh man, when I watch the guys fly helicopters, I go open the door of my car, roll a window up, and stand behind the door and look through the window at them, because I'm always scared to death one of those helicopters is going to bust a linkage or something and take off in some unpredictable direction, and they move so fast you wouldn't know which way to run, and before that thing had killed you. But they are fun as hell to watch. I love watching helicopters, but I have no illusions that I could learn to fly one, but I sure do like watching them. And I hear an echo in the background. Somebody's got an echo going. And I also have a anonymous. Oh, that's George. George, I don't see any camera.
Excuse me one moment.
Ah, there you go. You had your cover over your camera.
Yeah.
I do the same. I do the same thing. I got a little piece of paper. I flip over it to make sure that that nobody's watching me when I don't know it. So when I think I'm all alone, you know, I got a camera in the room with me. But so how you doing tonight, George?
Fine. I'm making some building and I'm waiting for the program.
Yeah, well, we're on now. I had a rough start here. I got the title wrong with the wrong day of the week. If you look down at the bottom of your video screen, you'll see it says Monday, but I got it to say Friday everywhere else. So we'll have to go with what we got. So you got any big plans for this weekend? You've got good weather?
Maybe I will fly again my new one plane.
Ah, good.
Maybe if not rain over here, because it's raining, too much cold. Maybe next Monday will be okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I hope so.
Yeah.
But how far north of the equator is Colombia?
Colombia is about 600 kilometers.
Okay, so not very far at all. So
No.
have you got 4 distinct seasons, or is it more like just kind of a slow change between fall and what we call fall and what we call summer here? Is it like that, or have you got 4 distinct seasons that close to the equator?
Yes, we have the 4 seasons in the same country. We are here about 2,100 meters over level sea, and in a 1 or 2 hours, I will be 2,600 meters, and there is cold. Here is warm. Here is winter, summer, about 25, 28 degrees centigrade over here in Medellin. It's warm. It's nice weather here. Yeah.
So
Yes.
what's your average temperature in the daytime? Are you in the what, mid 80s and 90s this time of the year? Fahrenheit.
20 degrees centigrade.
Okay, that's okay. That's 70s, I guess.
Yeah.
Fahrenheit. I don't know why we still use Fahrenheit, but we do. There was a big push in America back in the early 70s to switch over to all metric tools and measurement systems, and everybody railed against it, and we never made the change. So everybody has to have two tool sets now, one for metric, one for imperial or standard, whatever you want to call it. And then some cars are built partially in metric countries and partially in standard SAE countries, and so you might use two sets of tools on the same car. You know, some of the things are put together with metric, some things are put together with SAE. So it's confusing and a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And but anyway.
But we have to use this metric and inches measurement and foot inches since long time ago, because here came the metric cars and also American measurement style in American cars and everything.
Yeah.
And you have to have the two set of tools for inches and centimeters.
Yeah. Do you have any automotive manufacturing of your own in your area, or do you import everything from North America and Japan? And
we have
Europe?
over here we have no Colombian made, but the Renault, you know Renault from France,
Right.
Renault.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yes, there is a factory over here in Medellin, and long time ago there were more factories from American cars, but it seems that American factories are disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, also over here, the same. I remember Bronco. I don't know, remember if Ford or something like that, Bronco.
Yeah, Ford Bronco was the car with a truck back. No,
Yeah.
wait. Yeah, it was sort of a combination car truck, but not like the yeah. There was also the Ranchero, which was like a car with a truck bed on the back, an open bed. That was a pretty cool car.
Yeah. Also, we had over here like time ago. I do not remember Dodge, and others factory names. I do not remember.
Yeah.
But now we have just Renault, and also a lot of Hyundais and something like that imported.
What about Audi? Do you have Audi there?
Yes. Also, we have Audi.
I think they swap a lot of technology with Volkswagen, because my wife's got a Volkswagen Passat, and I know it's got the same engine in it as some of the Audis do, and so a lot of those factories share technology and share manufacturing resources.
Yes, I like too much the Volkswagen. I also have two books, two Volkswagen books. I like it. It's my favorite car.
Oh, is it really? Yeah, I like my wife's Volkswagen. It's got a 2-liter turbo engine on it, and it really does have some get up and go, especially driving around the city. When you slam the gas on, it really has some power to scoot around. But when you get out on the highway, if you want to pass somebody starting at a high speed, it doesn't it doesn't have as much grunt as a big engine would. I've got I drive a Hyundai Santa Fe, which is an SUV, and it's got a 275 horse V6 in it, and it's got a lot of power. It's got surprising power for a V6, and it's not turbo or anything. But I've been happy with that car. I had a Mazda, a small Mazda before, which was like a little sports car. But when I started flying planes that were too big to fit in the Mazda, I had to trade it in and get that Hyundai. And so far, I've liked it. I've had it about 3 years now, and it has not had any problems. And it's really great driving. It's good for taking on beach vacations too, and that sort of thing. You can throw the whole house in it and go. So it's got a lot of cargo room.
Yeah. I like the Volkswagen because we live in an area that is a lot of mountains over here, and you cannot go so fast because the ways are too narrow and
yeah. Oh, curvy roads. Yeah. Those can be fun to drive, except I don't care for driving in the mountains. Now, is it mountainous where you live?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We have a little valley where is Medellin, but it's surrounded by mountains. For the central, how do you say, Cordillera, the mountains who came from South America to the Atlantic Ocean. We live in the central spine of these mountains. The Andes mountain.
The Andes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tall, long mountain range, and there are some scary airports in there. I've watched videos of jets having to maneuver between mountain peaks to make final approach into some of the airports out there, and it's just hair raising. And they have to have the pilots have to have special training to get certified to fly in and out of those places.
Yes.
Peru might be where I'm thinking of, but that's in the Andes too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you a full-size pilot? Do you fly any full-size airplanes or strictly modeling planes?
I built a replica of the fuselage storage. I produce the fuselage store at 75% scale 1. Last time I sold a few for the United States, but it's the factory. I have to close the factory because sales are too low. But I built the fuselage storage. You can see my videos in YouTube, searching stores GE. That's the name of the page of the videos.
I'm gonna write that down. It's JORGE.
XTORCH space GE. Storage GE.
Okay. Yeah.
Sierra Tango Oscar Romeo Charlie Hotel Golf Echo.
Okay.
I also build ultralights under order now. And you can.
Yeah. Our guy, the guy that came on the other night, Mike Leinke, that was talking about combat planes, and he flies. I don't know if they're called ultralights, but they're the ones with kind of it looks like a hang glider wing, but it's engine powered, and he's got he's got wheels on it. So he flies little planes like that, little experimental labeled planes.
Yeah, I love the experimental aircraft because I was dreaming about to build a store since I was very young. Because my mother, when I was young, my mother buy me a magazine of popular mechanics, and there were a lot of how to build an airplane.
It seemed like they always had something on the front cover about personal airplanes, and we always thought, you know, we thought of the future as the year 2000, and it was a big joke when the year 2000 came and everybody's saying, "Where's my flying car?" You know.
Yeah.
It's 2000 and I still don't have my flying car. I want my money back. But it kept our imaginations going. And now we actually do have vehicles that people can fly, but they are still not mainstream production yet, you know. So it's not like the Jetsons. Did you ever see did you have a Spanish version of the Jetsons cartoons on TV when you were a kid?
Yes. we had it. I like the supersonics. I don't know if it's saying in English. Supersonics. Like they have a lot of future imagination of UFOs and something like that, and
yeah,
and a lot of the new techniques and many different new scenes that are in the present now.
Yeah.
Yes,
But a lot of the stuff that we saw back then, it was like instead of super high-tech electronics, it was like super high-tech mechanical stuff. You know, George Jetson always had a sore button pushing finger, and everything they did was super mechanical stuff instead of super electronic stuff. So they missed it a little bit on that.
Yeah. I'm also using my Volkswagen. I make a cell with hydrogen, you know, hydrogen, with with electrolysis, separate the oxygen from hydrogen.
Yeah, fuel cells, hydrogen fuel cells.
Yeah, I made the dispositive for separate things.
Oh, we got a new visitor. It's Gerald. It's Gerald and Sons.
And Max is on here. Yeah. And hello, George, and hello, Rusty.
Yeah, just Max George and Rusty. And we got Ron Hass, Ken Colbert, and Frank Washburn watching over on the YouTube side, and Jamie is over there too, but he's watching the World Series right now, so he's too busy to talk. Maybe I should turn it on my TV too.
Oh, yeah, Max wanted to talk about Egg Day because he took his plane down to
Yeah, sure, for Agricultural Day.
Yeah, Agricultural Day.
Yeah, don't have anything to do with Agricultural Day. As it all, you know.
Yeah, you took your martlet.
Yeah, my martlet. And sadly, if you had remembered, I didn't get to enter with it yesterday.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. Yesterday.
Yes,
yes, and other people were asking me what it was. And even a parent asked it. I don't know why though. And they said, does it fly? I said, yes, it works by control. And I didn't know a thing about it. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? They seriously meant that.
But you won a prize, didn't you?
Yes, I did, but unfortunately I lost my certificate.
But you can bring them the ribbon and
Oh, yeah.
It's on top of the stove in the kitchen.
Okay. Just wait a minute, okay?
Okay.
He's quite heavy because he and his
Yeah.
brother, they models along as models for the exhibition on our agricultural day at the local school. And they have calves there and sheep and goats and other animals that people have raised, kids have raised, and they bring them along to show off their pets, their pet animals. And some have made models. Some have made models out of fruit and their drawings and perfection with photography and stuff. But we were the only ones doing air modeling. So we can hold it up.
Oh man, look at that! You got a ribbon. Good
Yeah.
going. What does it say?
Caracopper Copper School Special Award. Sponsored by
Nice.
Louis James. Courts, Cooper & Co.
Yeah, that's the next one.
All right,
Yeah.
good going.
And I'm a year 4, but in the old days, I think I would have been a grade 4. Okay, so you get the rough idea. Otter competed 2.
Your brother got that.
Yeah.
And he got awarded for the most technical with his model.
Yeah, I probably got that too. And for us, yes, there's very unusual models. Say, for example, there's a scarecrow. It had a big pucker, you might say, in New Zealand or stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And they were
Yeah.
obviously, weren't they?
Yes.
Lots of
And I
creative
saw
Halloween.
2 robots, and they're very good. And one was gold. It's a bit like Robbie the Robot. That's what made me like it so much, and it looked a bit like one of those things of Doctor Who kind of Shawcraft thing. But
There was a model planes, man.
none apart from a very silly looking one that didn't even fly at all. Just a model.
Cardboard cutout one.
Yeah, cardboard cutout. It was supposed to be military, but I don't think it really was.
Yeah.
You got this thing.
Here's the other brother.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The older brother.
Good
Hi
evening.
there.
How you doing?
Say good evening.
Good evening.
And hold it up to the camera. You can see
I'm
you
just
being
gonna. I've been building this today. It's a tank of
Ah,
plastic.
right.
I forgot what type
That's
it
what
was.
Jamie would be interested in.
What was it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I could bring that, but you can see I've been working
So
on
you
it.
still gotta put the tracks and the turret on it, and
Yeah.
Yeah, you've just been working on
A
it.
few other little details of.
that's pretty cool.
Other
When I
things.
was a kid, I used to build a lot of model ships, like battleships and aircraft carriers, and try to float them in the bathtub. Those were pretty cool, but I wasn't much of a builder. I always had gluey fingerprints all over them, but had fun building those. That was before I got into airplanes. I
Well,
don't
I've got
think
the same problem.
built a tank though. I don't remember if I ever built a tank or not, but ships.
Yeah. Well,
I come from a long line of sailors. My family was all Navy guys in World War II, and my dad and his brothers and their father, and so yeah, I got a strong Navy background in my family.
Yeah, your grandfather was in the Navy.
yeah.
In the German Navy.
Well, at the moment, I'm just gonna tell you one thing. I have actually the same problem. I have actually the same problem now. I have a few glue fingerprints.
Glue your fingerprints.
Yeah.
Why
Well.
don't you go and get one of the other
I'll
ones you
get-
built?
yeah.
Built a little jeep too. You can
Yeah.
show Rusty the little
yeah.
jeep if you go and grab them.
I'll bring the box too.
Yeah.
Box for the tank. So
Yeah.
you can see. Oh, what?
Yes, and there's a few others. There's only quite a few out, and there's only 2 more. And Calgraph didn't say the same because he didn't get to compete last year, and he bought his model truck, which I thought was quite impressive. And also, there's a Meccano, an old Meccano, probably from the 70s or 60s. That was a model train. And the way it worked, I think, it didn't actually do anything, but you turn the handle and that needed 2 cogs, which drove 2 pistons, and that's all it
Yeah,
does. It's basically like an action machine.
Meccano is an English construction.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're familiar with Meccano. They cancelled the agricultural day last year, so they had to wait the whole year because of the weather. It's raining here today, but it wasn't last year. It was a real storm, so they couldn't fly. I think in the background, I think Sparky's doing this as well. So I'll say hello to Sparky.
But I just wanted to say there's just another one, which is so simple. It just a little bit as though if it was made of cardboard, but it's actually a modelling clay volcano. I didn't think it looked very good. Besides, I didn't get any prize. But anyway, on with the show.
Well, I have a few things here I didn't get to take.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can show you. There's a box and a tank. That's what it's going to look like.
Okay. Yeah, pull it back a little bit farther away from the camera. Yeah, there you go. Now I can see it. 260. Okay, a Soviet tank.
Yeah.
T-60
Well,
Soviet light. I can't read the last word. Light. Oh, tank. Okay. And what era was that tank from?
I think it's a World War II tank.
Yeah, probably.
World War II.
I'm just going to show you this. This is a English plane. I got it in the net. You can see this. This is a biplane.
Oh, yeah.
That's a theory, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see the machine.
Very nice. One night when we were on here, Wally was showing us a lot of his small plastic models that he's built, and they're all small size like that. And he is an amazing builder. I don't know if y'all got to see that or not, if you were on when he was showing us all of his.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, hey, Sparky.
Oh, Sparky.
Well, yeah, well, there's actually just one more, two more actually. So there's this jet I did. You
Okay.
can see that?
That's a little sad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sleek. Now, what is that? What kind of plane is that?
It's his
The Saab.
Saab.
Yeah, that make the cars.
Say it again.
Saab.
Saab.
S-A-B-B. Saab.
Vegan.
Vegan, yeah.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, we'll just last thing. I've got to do this quick. So there's a little military trailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. No. That was relatively easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's trickier things I've done. And yeah, well, there's an incomplete one here. Which
What kind of glue are you using to put those together?
Yeah. Here's what me and Dad did.
Hello there, I'm Sparky.
Gerald joined. He said hello.
Last one
Okay.
was
Here's the last one. This is a.
we're still working on that one.
We're still working on it. We've got to paint it, but all the stuff is basically done.
Very nice.
Can you see
Nice
that?
detail. Yeah.
Nice.
Got to be painted, but otherwise.
I think
Do they do the landing gear fold up into the wing, or are they just static?
Static.
Yeah, that was a French jet.
French jet. Show them the paper.
All right.
All right, Sparky, how you doing tonight, buddy?
All right, I think I got it all squared away.
Good.
Hello, Sparky. How are you?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Bien, gracias. Muy bien. Qué bueno verlo.
Okay.
So you might need showing you this. That's what it was. It was a super.
Oh, it's super Injidard. Yes, I'm familiar with that.
What? That's that. I'll stop at that point. I think starting with someone else will want to talk.
That's
Bye-bye.
okay. Talk all you want. Anybody that wants to talk around here has to jump in.
Well, I'll see you later, maybe.
Yeah. You can bring in your technical award one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just show them that last thing.
Well, I got my stabilizer that I built last week. I'm going to finish it up tomorrow. Last weekend, went over to John Jordan's and cut a foam airfoil. There it is right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I've still got to, I'm going to go back over John's tomorrow. I'm going to core this and then glue it together, put the trailing edges on it and the horns and everything. I don't think it's going to be any lighter, but it's going to be super cool. There's the root or the tip airfoil on it.
Uh-huh. Well, how's your buddy Jerry that fell off the ladder? That was Jerry, right?
Right.
Is that his name?
He got the flu now. Can't win for losing. He's got the flu now.
Oh, no.
No.
I can't think of anything
Don't
more
want that.
difficult than to be broken bones and then get the flu. That's what you get for going to the hospital, I guess.
Yeah. You know, I'm looking at this. This would make a nice half-A wing.
It sure would. Well, it looks like it's about, what, 30 inches or so?
Yeah, it's 30 inches.
Is this a wing or a stab?
That's a stab.
A stab. Which blade?
Make a half-A wing out of it's what he was saying.
Yeah.
That's similar to mine, actually.
Sparky, you and I both missed a wonderful weekend in Huntersville. The weather was 75 degrees and about a 4-mile-an-hour wind every single day.
That's what I heard. But that's the way it goes.
I guess so. I was so disappointed, though, because I was so ready. I had my equipment ready, and I wanted to make my entry into advanced official by at least flying one flight, but it wasn't to be.
That's really unfortunate.
Maybe in May.
How's your hip now? Rusty, is it feeling better now?
A little bit. I still can't walk. I'm still on the walker. I cannot move around without the walker.
You going to Joe Nall?
What'd you say?
Are you going to go to Joe Nall?
Well, that's a long way from now. So, yeah, I will. I plan to. That's always on my list of places to be.
That's May, isn't it?
That's May. It's usually about 2 weeks after Huntersville, or 1 week after Huntersville.
Well, I don't think we'll make both contests. I think it'll be Joe Nall we'll go to. But you never know. I don't know. Whatever he wants to do.
If I was that far away and had to pick one, I'd pick Joe Nall too. There's just so much going on that's interesting at Joe Nall.
This year we'll get there a little earlier. Hopefully the transmission in the motorhome has been fixed to the tune of $3,000.
No kidding.
Cool.
Well, I can't believe y'all broke down right in front of a transmission shop.
Yep, exactly in front of the transmission shop. The guy did an excellent job of fixing it too.
Good.
Well, at least you saved the big towing fee anyway.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than having to blow your money on getting a vehicle towed everywhere.
We were 1 day late getting to Joe Nall because the guy had it for a full day. I didn't think he'd be able to do it in 1 day, but he
Yeah,
did.
you got there in time to fly, so that's good.
How have we got at the end? Somebody else has joined. I can't recognise who it is. I just sort of got a side.
I couldn't understand what you said, Gerald. Say that again.
Oh, sorry, somebody else has joined on the end. I can't tell who it is. I can just see a shadowy figure on the side.
Oh, let's see. That is
It's Paul.
Daryl.
that's CL.
Paul.
Oh, that's CL guy. That's Paul Taylor. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Oh,
Hey,
Hi, Paul.
hey, how are you?
Hi, Paul. How are you?
well, Otto just wants to show you his
I would like
his
to.
little.
I really would like to.
That's his plane. I think
I'm-
you've seen the plane, but you got to.
I'm just begging.
You just show them the certificate that you got.
Is that a
Well,
Tony?
Yeah, Kawasaki.
Yeah. Well,
And then hold the certificate
we
up to
went
the screen.
to Ag Day, and it was supposed to be for Ag Day, but the problem was last year Ag Day was cancelled, so we thought we'd enter it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you got a prize reader. What's the prize?
Well, it was Ag Day stands for Agricultural Day, and you can enter models, pet, CCT, edibles. But I entered this, and I got a ribbon for most technical.
Excellent. You brought home a couple of ribbons. Good work.
Just ribbons, but yeah, this is the primary school, so nothing too flash.
Yeah. Well, thing is that the problem was that basically no one knew what it was.
You had to explain to them, but that's where you're an ambassador to the
Yeah.
hobby, aren't you? So
Sort of.
explaining to people what controller and flying is and that it's still done. One person commented, so people still build those models these days. It's a great surprise. But yeah, we've got to be out there and flying at events where you're seen by the public. Because often with control line flying, you're flying in places nobody sees or hears of you, and you become forgotten. The drones get all the publicity, don't they?
You're gonna keep it
Yeah.
going. You don't keep it going, and it gets plowed over by some new craze or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't keep on doing it, then it disappears.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've got to keep it alive.
We're probably some of the only people who fly control line in New Zealand.
I know, it's frustrating, but they had the Ringmaster Flyathon, and we were the only ones that flew in New
One
Zealand.
flight.
Yeah. So
And compared to what country was
Australia, next door to
it?
us.
Had two people. And
No.
there was one country which had two people, and that 100 and something flights.
Yeah, I think it did very well in America, obviously, where the Ringmaster came from, but other countries like Australia had a really good turnout. They had 290 something flights for the Ringmaster Flyathon, and they had like a dozen people competing.
Yeah.
But I tried to rouse some interest here, but maybe next year we'll manage to get a little bit more interest on the Ringmaster Flyathon.
Hopefully with a bit of luck. Just gotta
Build the Ringmaster. You have to build one model.
I came up with this idea that maybe we just fly 2 planes each, and then we give them far more many flights. It would take it up a bit.
Okay. I'll just show you on what Sparky was doing, which holding up his stabilizer. So that's my stabilizer for my that's for my Magnum.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the fuselage. I've got the fuselage there.
Here's a fuselage. Take it back for you so you can see it.
Yeah, you got to get way back to get that one in the picture. That's a big model.
You hang on to that.
Yeah, you got it upside down there. I've done a
Oh,
Mustang
now,
conversion.
okay, that makes more sense.
There's the cow.
That doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, it still needs a bit of sanding, but the cow ring's on and the stabilizer's made. I'm just going to put the wings together.
Looks like you're making a giant smoothie.
Yeah. I've got to put my bottom radiator on it. I've just done the front, and I'll finish off doing the canopy, but I've got the tail cut out. Most of the parts are cut out now. But
How much does your elevator stabilizer weigh?
Oh, it's scary. The wood on it's like concrete. So I can weigh it now and see how heavy it is.
Oh, this is a white family.
Yeah. Okay. The stabilizer's 1.5 ounces, and with the elevators added to it, 2.8 ounces.
No
Quite
horns.
heavy.
It's gonna be 3 1/4. That's about right.
Add on the fuselage.
Yeah, the flaps are quite heavy too. The flaps are made of really heavy balsa. Sanded them a lot, but
They should weigh no more than 1 ounce apiece, and that's way. I like mine to come out a 1/2 ounce.
Are you building that from a kit, or are you cutting all that yourself out?
oh, it's an old kit. I bought it about 20 years ago, and the flaps are just over 1 ounce each.
No, they're too heavy. Your airplane's going to be too heavy. What are you going to power it with?
Oh, I've got fork. I've got. Oh, where's my fork?
Oh,
I've got a fork on another.
That's a Fox Eagle.
Oh, that's the fork. It's the Schnell ported one.
Oh.
Yeah,
How much does that weigh?
It's what would I think? It's 16 ounces with muffler.
Oh man. The Magnum flies really good around 60 ounces, and with all that stuff you're putting on it, with those weights, your airplane's going to be in the 75 ounce range.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I'm hoping is I won't have to put a lot of finish on it because I'll do a military paint scheme, and I'll just do it olive drab. I'll grab. I'll just get through.
I think mine weighed 72.
Yeah, that's too heavy. 60 is where they fly really good. They're hard to make at 60, but.
Here's the profile one it's replacing anyway. That's my profile one with a Fox Hawk on it. So it's really just designed to replace that model.
How much does it weigh?
I think it was in the mid-60s, but it is a bit smaller than the Magnum area-wise. So wing loading-wise, it was about 14 ounces per square foot. So she's a heavy girl, but she's done a lot of flying. I built it for display work, where people could see a model doing display work, but it would cope with winds. We used to tie streamers with them. I built this and a Zero, and the Mustang's still flying. The Zero's been retired. Yes, we used to do dog flights. We flew them in Stunt as well, but we used it for airshow work, where we flew at the mini airshow, and we wanted models that were just large models that would put on an impressive performance.
How much does your wing weigh on your Magnum?
The wing? I put the tips on. So I haven't finished carving the tips. Yeah. 14 ounces, but they've got the lead outs and bell crank in them.
So that's 15 ounces. That's let's see, 15 and it's 18, and then your motor is 18, 28, 34, 34 and 3, 37. How much does the fuselage weigh?
It won't be competitive. But yeah, I'm aware it'll be a bit heavy, but most Magnums do end up a bit heavy unless you build them really as a 46 model rather than.
Yeah, I'm just trying to go over in my head your target weight where it's going to come out at. How much was the fuselage? How much did it weigh?
Something around 120?
No, ounces, not grams.
Yeah, grams.
It's about 11 ounces.
How much?
Yeah, about 11.
38, that's
Yeah,
48. You're up to 51 already. That doesn't include the fuel tank or the spinner, or so 51, 52, 53, 54, 55 plus. Yeah. How much do you think your finish is going to weigh?
I could probably complete the finish for a couple of ounces because I'll use tissue, and I'll just use our favourite paint we've been using is an acrylic enamel, and I'll just fuel proof around the immediate motor area. Yeah, the paint, but we don't have to use a full-on paint job. We can use a semi-finish because it's a military finish. We don't have to go for a glossy finish.
Okay.
Well, try to keep it light because you're right. I mean, you're on the edge of really heavy. That motor is a disadvantage. That's very heavy.
Yeah, they're a powerful motor though. I've used the Eagle, and compared to the old Eagle, it's significantly more powerful than the Eagle. The Eagle has similar power to a Super Tiger 60, whereas the 70. I mean the Fox Hawk is, I think it was about 1.6 horsepower, and it'll swing quite a good sized prop without really overloading. But you can probably pull about another inch of prop with the Hawk over an Eagle. So that's where I'm hoping to have a little bit more power, maybe have to fly it a little bit faster with like a 13.6 prop.
So, Paul, what you got going on in your shop tonight? What you working on?
Oh, I'm just trying to finish up this vector that I've been working on. This guy right here.
That's looking nice.
Get the hardware put back in it.
Very nice.
Looks absolutely perfect. Looks real good. Good.
Is that the one you're going to put 2K on?
Yeah, I've already sprayed it, so I got my nerve up, and yeah, I just kind of dusted it. It's painted with acrylic. I didn't put tape on it, so I just kind of airbrushed it. I mean, like I put out there on Stunthangar, it's just a tool at this point. I think, Sparky, when I first started putting this together, I was asking you about using that gray primer as just a color coat, and you told me it was going to be heavy. Come out tail heavy, so this thing was pretty almost non-responsive, like in the Hourglass, and so it's no longer tail heavy. So that's what I was kind of trying to get to.
Well, that's good.
So it's all acrylic paint, and then I just put the 2K over it to seal it. So, like as Joe Gilbert said, it's not a show plane; it's a go plane.
That little airplane should be in the 45-ounce range.
Well, the next one I build might be, but this one's coming in right at about 52, 53 ounces. And I'm adding a little bit of nose weight to start out with, just until I get it trimmed out, but it's probably going to settle out at about 52 ounces, which that's what my last one was, and I had an LA-46 in it, and it flew pretty good. So Jimmy wants me to mess around with these pipes. So this has got a PA-40 ultralight on a pipe. But I'm going to start out with the header muffler right now.
I hadn't tried a pipe yet. I've got an engine with a rear exhaust. It's a Conquest 15, and I'm thinking of building a small plane to fit up with that. And that might be the first one to see if I can get a carbon pipe for it.
Yeah, I'm
Probably have to have it specially made, because whoever had that engine before has ground the exhaust port off on the back of the cylinder to where it's rounded off. So I'm gonna have to give it to somebody and fit up a custom connector for it.
Here's my rear exhaust muffler for my PA-75.
Oh yeah.
High dollar.
Is it carbon? Is it a carbon pipe?
Yeah, it's carbon.
Is it a carbon?
Is that the one Randy made?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Fiberglass, very nice.
Now is that pipe is that a tuned pipe, or is that just a pipe that extends the exhaust back towards the rear?
It's a tuned muffler. It's not a pipe. I have
Right.
a pipe too, but the thing about a pipe is it puts all the weight underneath the horizontal center of gravity.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to keep this airplane light. So I'm building that. I can use it either way, but I'm going to build it for this. I have one more unobtainium spinner. These weigh like 3 grams.
What was that made out of? Was that a magnesium or something?
No, it's carbon.
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber, yeah.
Let's see. Jamie needs to give us a baseball report. He's on YouTube. Jamie, are you paying attention to us? Tell us what the score is. Hi.
Oh, the muffler.
Yeah, the pipes that I made.
Pipes. I thought they were mufflers.
Yeah, I made my own pipes in the past.
Oh,
Did you make those?
I made them out of tin pipe, and they came out remarkably well. When the pipes came into fashion back in the 80s, I built a pipe model, and I made a selection of pipes and put them together using copper wire. So it's just tin plate and copper wire, and they came out slightly heavier than a carbon pipe, but at least I had the ability to experiment with them and made quite a number of them. So Otto's brother's my son's holding got quite a few of them that I've made. So,
wow, yeah, you got a pretty good collection of them there.
I'm sorry to say
There's a
this, but
PA-75 pipe.
That's a nice piece, yeah. Does it have baffles inside it as well, or is it an open pipe?
It's not really a pipe, as a motorcycle racer would know it. It's basically a big muffler. There's a baffle in there. Let me explain to you how a pipe works, and it works by pressure wave. The header itself. Let me get this on. It's a real science. Tuned pipes are a science. When the piston goes down, or excuse me, when the piston comes up the port is open on the lower end. So then when the piston goes down, it's charging the top end. That's the overlap stroke, so to speak. What that does is that time has to be measured in the length of this. And how this goes is the fuel is sucked in to this pipe that's raw and hits the wave back here, and the sonic wave from the back cone pushes that raw fuel charge that's in about to the first bend here back down into the lower end. And that's what gives you the supercharging effect of a pipe. And it's all done by sound wave. And it's all mathematically figured out. I'm not smart enough to figure out the pi times radius square shit. But I'll tell you that a tuned pipe only works at 1 RPM. It doesn't work throughout the power band. So if you're going to tune your engine to run at optimum performance at 10,000 RPM and you change the length of that pipe or you change the RPM, the motor doesn't run the same. So what we're doing with these is we're using it as a giant muffler because there's a baffle in here, so it has no supercharging effect going back this way. So the fuel charge comes in and it just acts dead because there's no secondary wave pushing that back. The only guy that really knows about pipes is Frank Williams. That guy is so sharp. He's some type of aero engineer or whatever, and he understands exactly how they work. But that's basically how a tuned pipe expansion chamber works. And this is basically a giant muffler, and it kind of regulates the RPM. You can only stuff this so full of the charge. So when the engine's turning 8,500, this thing has enough volume to hold it at 8,500 because you can't push any more shit through it. That's how it's working.
So, Robert,
did you use a pipe on have sub-piston induction or not?
All two strokes have the same amount of compression on the lower end as they do the top end. And that's why, theoretically, the engine is not supposed to run. All two-stroke engines have a point where the bottom of the piston skirt comes just above the exhaust port so that it's charging into the lower end. And that's...
it gets a rush back into it through that.
And that's how the pipe... Go ahead, Paul.
How do the stingers affect that? Because Wendy sent this one with the... he sent this one with the Testarossa, but... I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he said don't use the twin stinger one because it didn't perform as well as a single stinger.
Okay, stingers are another science in tuned pipes as far as a pipe goes. The bigger the diameter stinger, the lower the RPM range and more torque. The longer the spinner is, the higher the RPM is going to be because they've also decreased the diameter of the stinger. So the long, thin stinger is going to be high RPM. The big, open, short stinger is going to be low RPM. As far as the stingers, twin stingers go, I can't see how that would even work, theoretically or whatever, except for look cool, because the stinger does have a bearing on how the pipe functions.
Yeah, well, they are a smaller diameter. But the way he did the belly pan on that, he kind of designed it around where I guess where he could go either way, but these actually stick out the bottom of the back of the belly pan.
Well, it looked nice anyway.
What I would do, I know that airplane. What if you want to test how things work? Cut those things off and get a carbon tube and make yourself a stinger and just JB weld it on there. One stinger.
Well, I've got the single stingers on the plane right now, but he sent this one along, I guess, just because it went with the plane.
You flown that yet?
Not yet. I'm trying to work my nerve up, but I was scheduled to go over Jimmy's, and we were going to kind of go through it and Oliver a little bit about it. This is my first road jet, so
That's got a
Maybe
90 in it,
after-
right?
Pardon me?
That's got a 90 in it, doesn't it?
I think he's got a 75 in it. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, from what I understand, they detuned him anyway.
Well, I'll guarantee you this 75 ain't detuned. They put out some power, these bad boys.
Yep.
So I think Charles was using a 75 as well. Was it a PA 75? And he was using quite a large prop on it. What sort of prop are you using on yours? And Sparky?
Is that a question to me? I didn't quite understand it.
Sorry, I think Charles, who's frequently on the forum, was saying the other day, I think he used the PA 75, and he was using quite a large prop with a lot of pitch. It was something like a 13.8. He was using
That ain't
a
large.
very low up.
When I had this engine in my Thunderbolt, I turned a 15 4.5.
Big. Yeah,
I
that's a
think
huge
Charles
prop.
was using a Stalker 80 something.
Yeah, they're weak. They're weenie. They ain't got no power.
Yeah, just incredible because the old Super Tiger 60 struggles with the 13.6.
My Thunderbolt with that motor in it, I could start it up. I know that because I've held it up and kind of let it go, but you could hold it up like that and let it go, and it would go right out of sight, right from the get-go. You could hand launch that airplane easy. Poof.
Yeah, you can, combat mode, but most times you can't do that with that.
Paul Taylor was there when I crashed Thunderbolt 3, weren't you, Paul?
Yeah, that wasn't a fun day for me.
No.
So, straight down out of the cloverleaf wasn't a good thing. What'd you do with that, Robert? Or is you going to try to rebuild it?
No, I cut the tail off and mounted it on a plaque, and I have all my concourse trophies that I've won. Just the name tags on that plaque. There's about 15 of them on there, and then I gave the wing, what was left of it, to Ted Winterman. He's got it up on his wall.
Oh man, that was
one of those ones.
That's the airplane you see with the checkerboard nose on our monikers, on our
Stunthangar logo.
Yeah.
You gonna build another one? You got another one in you, Sparky?
Nope. The reason being, and I was just discussing this today with Jerry, the reason being that I'm not going to build another one is I can't build one at 53 ounces.
Yeah.
I built 5 of them. They've all been over 65 ounces. They fly well, but they're just too much. They're a handful in the wind.
Yeah.
What's the recipe
Guys, I'm
you
gonna
think
bail.
for the?
I gotta head downstairs. Hey, Robert, why don't you give Jimmy a call? He's been asking about you.
He has.
I want to know if I'd heard from you or seen you, and we thought you'd show up at a couple of the. We missed you at Paducah this year.
Well, the reason I didn't go to Paducah is I'm in Dayton and I was working, and Tom Morris wasn't going to be there to pick up his airplanes, so there was no need for me to go down there. I'm sorry I missed it, but I got to make money.
I hear you. Are you going to make El Dorado?
El Dorado, where's that at? Where's that, Paul?
It's in Arkansas. I'm trying to think. It's west of Little Rock. It's about drive for us.
I won't be going there. You gonna make Joe Nall?
Yeah, that's not a good week for me.
Well, I think that's gonna be our first contest of the season, Joe Nall. Of course, I'll see you at Brodak.
Yeah, yep. If I make it, I didn't make it this year, so
I know they missed you.
So,
I don't
all right,
think.
guys.
All right, take care.
All right, have a good
All
one.
right, see you later. Thanks for coming in and
Yep.
seeing us.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Steve's called, Cam. Hi, Steve.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right,
Pretty
Steve.
good.
Oh, Steve.
How's your new airplane coming, Sparky?
Slow, but
So,
coming. I built the stabilizer, got the wing done over there and the fuselage done over there, and the stabilizer I'll go finish up tomorrow. And,
that's cool.
That's a big old stabilizer.
Mm.
It's 1 inch thick at the root.
It's big, yeah.
Is this just like your other airplane, or is this something new you're trying?
Well, it's just like the other one, but with a variant, you know. Because it's going to be running a PA-75, I'm going to try to make the tail moment 1 inch longer, but I got to lighten it up somehow. So I got to build a stabilizer that's lighter than what I got. I've got 3 stabilizers, and I just take the lightest one, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, with a thickness, is that 1 inch thick? That's pretty good size. Usually, what, or 1/2 inch, or?
Yeah.
Not even that much on a lot of planes. I mean, I don't know that much about the
Wow.
really big planes.
That would be 3/4. That one.
I'll go over to John's and we'll hotwire the core out of this. Hopefully lighten it up a little bit. It's at 2.5 ounces now. I'd like to get it lighter than that.
How do you get the core out of there? You just bore a starting hole all the way through it, and then just push the wire through and hook it up at both ends.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It'll take 4 times to run. You got to run the wire down through, because this is be double core. Run the wire down through, then put the templates on each end, and then fish the wire through and hook it to the bow, and then go like that. Takes 2 seconds, and then undo the bow and take the wire out and push the core out, and then move to the next spot.
How thick is the cutting wire?
About maybe 20 thousandths.
And it's stiff too, right?
I think it's 14,000. It's piano wire. You can use flight line, you know,
Yeah.
single strand flight line, but it's monochromatic or whatever.
Yeah, we found out when you core something like that, you really need to be careful and let the wire cool down so it doesn't touch anything and keep burning on the foam where you don't want it to cut.
Yeah. John's got a feather cut over his place, and it works really, really well. The wire, when you turn the transformer off, the wire instantly cools.
Oh, no kidding. Do you like the foam core stabs? Is that just so you can get your the airfoil a little nicer on it, real consistent, or over a buildup?
I think this is going to look really nice, and I'm hoping I can make it as light as what I got there, if not a little lighter. So that's basically why I did it, just because it's going to look nice.
Man, what you swimmers doing rummaging around for?
I was going to show you our, it's our foam wing cutter, our bow.
Ah, there we go.
Try and find the nichrome wire so I can tell you how thick the nichrome wire is, but yeah, that's what we used to cut the foam wing cores with. We used nichrome wire and just a pair of 12-volt batteries tied together in series to get 24 volts.
If you have an electric airplane, you can use your battery charger to do it.
Yeah, the time I did it, I didn't have a charger powerful enough because I did most of my foam wing cutting back in the 80s. I really flew. My competitive flying is years ago, and I've really just got to try and get up to speed again and try and get to the point where I'm flying more F2B and less scale.
When you say
dropped out.
When you say you're saying nichrome wire, right?
Yeah, nichrome wire. Yeah,
So is that
it's a high resistance
alloy?
wire.
Is it steel with nickel and chromium? Is that what that is?
It's like a high resistance wire you have in a stove or a kettle.
Uh-huh.
It heats up when you pass current into it. It is very high resistance. So,
But is it got an
All
iron?
wire heats up when you put electric current to it. You can use flight line.
but
Has it got an iron
it's a-
component like steel in it too?
Yeah, it doesn't conduct like copper does or aluminium. It conducts. It converts more of the energy into heat rather than passing the current. It just converts it into heat. So when you put it across a battery, it's not drawing a whole lot of current. It's drawing relatively low current. So you have to raise your voltage to the voltage that you want. Whereas if you cut with, done that before, you draw a lot more current, and you don't really have as much control. Much better for foam core cutting because you just have more control with it.
Well, John's got this feather cut machine. It is the coolest thing. I'm gonna have to get one. It you set the foam on the bench, and you got to fiddle fart around with this thing to get the timing right. But once you get the timing right, you set the wire on the templates. Click on the switch and let it go, and it cuts itself because it has a weight and it pulls it down off the bench, and it's just a nice smooth cut.
I see.
It does work. I seen that on one of them places that sell carbon fiber and shit, and I can't remember the name of it. It was like $400 and some, and I wondered if it really worked like they said it did.
Feather cut is the name of it.
Yep, feather cut.
And it
does
does
work that good though.
It works good.
Oh shit! I wondered about that. I'm like, boy, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of money for something that's going to work that good. But yeah, whoever designed it, yeah, it's got like different deals, so you can do 8-inch wing tips or 10-inch wing tips and whatever you want the route, and you set it up and do the timing, and then yeah, that'd be nice to have. How long has he had it?
I don't know.
How do you make the starter hole all the way through the wing? You just push a wire through it.
Piece of red hot 1/8-inch piano wire and shove it down through.
Shove it down in there. Okay.
There's a neck to it. It's not as easy as that. I've gone through the side of the wing too many times. So I used to do the thing where you split the ribbon to 2 halves and then you cut out little ellipticals.
Hey, Gerald, your microphone needs moving around or something. You're getting kind of, that's good. Yeah.
I'll try getting a bit closer.
We've been
what we did in the past is we split the ribbon to 2 halves, and we'd go in through the leading edge and cut out the first piece of the leading edge. It's how Bob Whitney used to do when he did it.
I think his bandwidth is going away.
Yeah. Now we can't hear you at all, Gerald. It's like you got real low volume that time. We couldn't hear anything.
I'll try plugging in microphone separately, see if that works.
That sounded good.
Yeah, we hear you good now.
I think it's positional because he comes and goes as he moves around. Sometimes he's perfectly clear.
Can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I'll try the microphone.
Okay.
Well, anyway, yeah, I guess I should watch some YouTube videos of cutting foam because I got all these questions that I'm curious about. I could just learn about it from YouTube.
I got a bow, and I got a foam cutting equipment back in St. Louis, but it's not feather cut. You got to move the bow by hand. You can do it, but it ain't going to look as good as this thing. It looks machine cut.
That's just the difference between using a bow and using weights to pull it through. Is that what you?
Well, it's still a bow. It still has a bow on it, but the weights and this arm pulls the bow at an even speed.
Yeah.
And it just glides across the tops of the templates. And the foam doesn't have a bunch of waves in it. It's just a smooth.
Yeah, because you could have a 14-inch root and an 8-inch tip, and the wire's got to go in and come out at the same time.
Right. Well,
that's the problem we've tried to, you know, have do it. It makes it all wavy and shit.
This thing has a pivot on it, you know, a pivot up here, and the arm goes down this way, and a bunch of pulleys, and you position these pulleys so that the bow moves across evenly. It starts at the trailing edge and ends at the leading edge at the same time. Whether the root is 14 inches and the tip is 6 inches, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. But trying to do that by hand is tough.
Yeah, Bob Hunt can do it.
You have to make weight adjustments at each end before you start it, or do you just run scrap pieces until you get it right?
No, you just go. You don't start it until you've got the timing right. You hold the bow above the block of foam, and you just kind of move these pulleys in and out until you get that timing right, and then set it down in the catches in the templates, turn it on, and then pop it up, and it goes boom.
Yeah, it's kind of like adjusting a gear ratio.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what. Same formula.
Yeah. Yeah, because the root's got to move at so many inches per second, and their tip's got to move at so many inches per second for everything to end and start.
Yeah.
And end it. But yeah, it was developed by somebody who tried to cut foam and got frustrated and said, "Hey, I can come up with a better way of doing this." So shit. Wow. But yeah, if you were going to make a kit and you had that set up, hell, you could bust out a shitload of wings in no time at all.
Yeah. What do they mean when they talk about open cell foam and closed, I guess, cell foam?
Well, this foam in here is 3/4 ounce per square cubic foot, and Bob uses 2 pound for foam cradles, and I think he uses 1 pound for foam wings, and that's just a matter of how tight together it's pushed, you know.
How much air is in it, I guess.
And I'm not sure what open cell and closed cell is, but I know that closed cell foam, like we use in HVAC, is real dense stuff, and it's flexible, but its insulation value is so much more than open cell.
David, are you a modeler?
Yeah, he absolutely is a modeler. Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
All right, man. I'm looking to get on tonight. I've been fighting this thing. You know, I'm over at Denny's right now, so
well, have you ever met Sparky before?
No. Well, I've seen him, but
okay, Sparky. This is Dave Fountain from Georgia. He's my buddy, and he's a A&P, and a hell of a good modeler too. So. Been doing it a long time.
So what else is one doing tonight?
Well, I was just getting a lesson on cutting foam wings when you logged in, and we've been covering the territory like usual. It took us about 45 minutes or so to get into a groove, and we've been talking about same old stuff, just having a good time.
Yeah, I've been over at my boss's house. I've been trying to do some repairs on old Deutsch diesel engine, air-cooled diesel engine. I ended up having to put an injector pump on that thing. It was a pain in you know what. So took me so long. That's the reason why I'm so late.
So are you an AMS or an ADJ, or what do you do?
Talk about my AP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just primarily will work on experimental and just private. So I'm not in any repair center or anything. So.
So you're not IMD. Are you a metalsmith, a mechanic? You know,
You mechanic.
you're a mechanic. So you're an 80J.
Yeah, 80J. Yeah. I got to turn the volume up a little bit.
I was an AMS in the Navy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, well, I was an AMS. I'm a government trained painter of gray.
Okay. Yeah.
I am the world's best painter of gray. I worked on A7s and F-14.
We'll just call it out for now. We'll just listen.
So that's cool.
So you're not bucking rivets, you're turning wrenches then.
Yeah, I'm pretty much, well, I can butt rivets and everything, but I'm primarily a wrench turner. Yeah.
Where did you go to your A school at?
Both my A and P school is with Central Georgia Technical College.
Mine was Millington, Tennessee.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
And I am not an A&P anymore.
Huh?
I'm not an A&P anymore. I don't work on airplanes anymore.
In some ways, I don't blame you. It can be a pain in the butt sometimes, especially with all the dank paperwork.
I worked on Harleys for 40 years, and now I'm doing handicapped vans.
Handicap van.
Yeah.
For Harley riders who can't ride anymore because they're so old.
Yeah.
Hell, no one's old enough. It's too old to ride a bike in one way or another. Yeah, I ride a bike myself, but I don't ride Harley. So I like Harleys though. I would like one, but I primarily I've been a sport bike rider all my life.
Well, let me give you some sacrilege for all you Harley Davidson riders listening out there. Harley Davidson is not what it used to be. Thank God. The day of the AMF Sandcast case is long gone. The German engineering of Porsche is much better. Harley Davidson,
like the Fox 35 of motorcycles, huh?
Not anymore. Not anymore. Since they copied the Japanese and Porsche redesigned their motors, the engineering's quite good. However, it's not an American-made motorcycle. It's assembled here in the United States, but every part on that thing comes from a different country. The wheels are from Australia. The forks are from Japan. Showa forks. The frame is made in Canada. The engine castings and all that stuff is Canadian. It's assembled in Pennsylvania. The engine is assembled in Pennsylvania, and it's married in Milwaukee. Unless it's a Sportster, then it's done in Kansas City. Everything, I mean, the seat is from Pakistan. The gearing and all that shit is from Taiwan. The bearings are from China. It's just, there's not hardly anything on the motorcycle that's American-made. And they said, well, it says that it's an American-made motorcycle. Well, if it was an American-made motorcycle, you couldn't afford it.
Yeah, exactly. Because all the hoops and red tape that these corporations have to go through and all that, and fine, and all the fees that they get to stay legal. It just drives up the cost to a point where no one can afford it. Yeah.
Well, everybody rags on AMF. That's American Machine and Foundry. And back in the 70s, Ronald Reagan put a tariff on Honda because you meet the nicest people on a Honda so that they could level the playing field for the American motorcycle. Now, back when the AMF was, they call it a Japanese motorcycle, but actually it was more American-made than what we have today. The AMF brand motorcycle, unless you're looking at Aeromachi, which was the younger or the smaller versions of Harley Davidson made in Italy. Aeromachi made those, the 125s, the 250s, the 350s, so on and so forth. Man, Harley Davidson, I know a shitload about them, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There was a Harley Davidson 90 trail on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. Guy wanted $6,500 for it.
Good
I
luck.
remember when you could get them damn things for $500.
An AMF Sportster is what's known as fishing equipment. It makes a great boat anchor. If you pay more than $500 for one of those, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, we got a guy at work that still has his AMF Electroglide that he bought brand new when he got out of high school, and he still drives it. He said it runs good and stuff, you know, but it does leak a little bit of oil on the ground out there and shit. But he said he'll keep it till the day he dies. He just
That's not engine oil. That's transmission oil. The way that the transmission is set up, it has a bronze bushing in fourth gear, and they ream that with a 1-inch ream to fit the fourth gear main shaft. You put it on and it has a seal, and the minute that it starts up and drives out the door, it's starting to wear out. So you can go maybe a month and it'll start to drip there. It's just a poor design.
Absorbing oil, isn't it?
That's an AMF, that is an AMF adage there. And that was such a notorious problem that Harley Davidson had a part number for a cookie sheet to set underneath the motorcycle on the showroom floor. Because brand new from the factory, you start them up and roll them out the door, they start to leak because of that flaw. But back then in the 70s, they didn't have Ina bearings, those needle bearings that they could run in that fourth gear. It was always a bronze bushing, and it was reamed to shape, and the minute you start it up, it's wearing out. So they had a part number for a cookie sheet.
Yeah, that's just like an old lady.
Fourth gear's in the very front end of the case, right? At the input end of the case.
Fourth gear is the biggest gear that. Fourth gear is the gear that's splined, that the drive sprocket is on.
Just the counter shaft.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, so the bronze bushing you were talking about just starts absorbing oil from day one.
It doesn't absorb oil; it wears out. You've reamed a bronze bushing 1/2 thousandths bigger than the shaft. So the minute you put that shaft through it, it has a seal on it. It starts to wear out. What happens when it wears out? It walks up and down. So now we have 2 thousandths run out. Well, 2 thousandths run out. There's 90 weight oil in that transmission, and it gets hot. It's gonna run somewhere, and it leaks out.
Like the nosebleed of
putting a bushing
nosebleed of an airplane, huh?
Yeah, or the main crank bearing on a automotive engine when that rear bearings worn, then your rear crankshaft leaks.
I thought bronze absorbed oil. Maybe that's only low viscosity oil.
It does. Well, bronze will absorb some. It's porous, a little bit porous, and oil. But
yeah, I guess it doesn't absorb gear grease. Something that heavy, 70, 80, 90.
90 weight in the trans.
Oh, it probably does absorb some, but it's just there's so much horsepower and stuff on that output shaft.
On the counter shaft. Well, yeah, it's going to wear out.
So much horsepower. Yep, 38 horsepower on a shovel head. Yeah, big horsepower.
But really, though, you know, it's a deal to where that is a lot of horsepower on a piece of bronze bushing and stuff like that. You know, it ain't like the horsepower of today, but
my dresser at 103 inches put out 110 horsepower.
What sort of heat conductor is bronze compared to aluminum?
It probably holds heat a little better than aluminum, but they both have, you know, good aspect ratio, I'm sure.
A lot of it is that they just want dissimilar metals so they don't gall. Metallurgy is a big thing, you know, how that works.
You know, Harley Davidson, they used to, in the twin cams in 99 and 2000, they used to come in ball bearings. Then we started loading roller bearings in there. because I called up tech support and I said, "Can I put the roller bearing in the drive side?" And they said, "Well, does it fit?" I said, "Yeah, I already put one in." He said, "Well, give it a try." Well, now they did that after I suggested that. They came out that way with 2 sets of rollers in there, but now they've done away with the bearings completely. They're floating in aluminum, just like a Japanese car. Your camshaft doesn't have any bushings in the camshaft. It's floating in a bath of oil at a 0.5 clearance on aluminum.
I reckon it's better quality aluminium nowadays. That's their excuse for running bearings in raw aluminium like that.
T6, but the machining is so much better. Line boring and the machine work is, the tolerances are just right on the money.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that with no bushings in there and stuff, you can go 300,000 miles on one of the motors and the damn thing still run great.
As long as you change the oil. Now, we got David here. He likes Japanese motorcycles. I don't know how much you know about the 70s era Honda 750s. They had a
750.
You know something about those?
I've worked on a few of them. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I've worked on a few of them.
Below the cylinder, which has 4 holes in it.
Yeah.
On the outside, it has 2 small orifices, and those orifices are the size of a grain of sand. If you don't change your oil and filter every 3,000 miles on a Honda 750,
it won't lubricate.
The top end will burn up, and you'll break the camshaft.
It won't get it. It won't get up to the top. It's like the Magna engine.
Right.
Sort of,
But that Honda 750 was the first era that I saw of high tolerance aluminum bearings for camshafts. But the problem was that orifice was too small. It was just like, 10,000ths or maybe less. It was just a little tiny pinhole so they could hold the pressure and not the volume.
Well, that was like with the Toyotas, the 2000, something like that, where the engines were failing at a couple 100,000 miles and people were bitching, but they weren't changing their oil, and it was plugging up galleys or something in the bottom of the block to oil the crank.
My Saturn has an Ecotech motor in it, a VVT Ecotech, and I'm at 110,000 miles now. I changed the oil. I've had it ever since it was new. I change the oil religiously at 3,000 miles, and they say, "Well, why do you change the oil at 3,000 miles? It doesn't wear out until 5,000." I said, "You really want your particles of that crap floating around in the filter for an extra 2,000 miles? No, thanks. Change oil."
Especially
does that Saturn have an iron block?
No, aluminum.
Let me ask you this. On iron blocks, it's convenient to stick a big old magnet in the sump. In aluminum engines, they must have a whole lot more crap floating around in them because you can't pick it up with a magnet.
They don't have anything floating in them. There's nothing to float. You can't. What's going to wear out? If you got a steel crankshaft in aluminum bearings, what's going to wear out? The aluminum or the steel?
The aluminum.
Well, the aluminum. Where does the aluminum go? Into the filter. Where does that go? Pours out into the you pour it out. So you're not going to see anything down in there.
Some stray that doesn't get picked up by the magnet.
In an aluminum engine, if you got steel floating around in the bottom, you got problems.
You got a real
filter.
Well, there's another problem that you can do, and that is let a motor sludge up, and the sludge doesn't have to be aluminum. It's just got to be heat burnt oil. And I had a 50 and a Cutlass, 1976 Cutlass, and I changed the oil on it, but I never checked underneath the rocker covers because they were all gunged up. There was all this gunge, and the oil wasn't draining back into the sump, and it all sat around the rocker covers, and I gave it a rev and ran the bearings. And I just felt really silly.
Technology in those days, though. That Oldsmobile General Motors engine in the 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s is an entirely different animal than the motors of today.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't you agree, David?
Oh, yes. I built many of the older style Chevrolet small blocks. So
Big
What I
difference.
learned from that lesson was
and things like
I
that.
blocked. Yeah, I've got my wife's got a 1967 Oldsmobile Cutlass, and what I did on that was I blocked the heat risers. When we bought an Edelbrock manifold, they said it's only warranted if you block the heat risers, and it came with these big cast iron plugs you put in both of the heat risers to block the heat, because they said it got so hot the oil was burning underneath the intake manifold, and obviously creating sludge in the oil. So to bring the heat down, they said block the heat risers, and the motor will run a lot cooler. So we did that, but it's hard to warm up. That's the only problem. It takes a lot longer to warm up. But the oil stays cleaner a lot
I
longer.
had the heat riser blocked in my 283 Chevy Nova, and it took forever to warm that car up.
Yeah, the later Vortec 350s or the 5.7s, they don't have a heat crossover yet. Yeah, they didn't have a heat crossover. They had the later style Vortec fast burn heads. Yeah, they got away from that, and they rerouted everything to kind of keep from having that problem. So just don't get them too hot; they crack.
I need to change my transmission fluid. I'm at over 100,000 miles, and the service interval was 100,000. But it's such a pain in the ass. You got to take off the left front wheel and reach in there with an Allen wrench and pull both them plugs off. I don't know. And Jiffy Lube wants $80 for 2 quarts of automatic transmission fluid. That's a Dextron Mercon 3 that goes in that 5-speed transmission.
Well, Sparky, why can't you just pull one of the cooler lines? If you pull one of the cooler lines and put it in a bucket and then feed in new fluid.
This is a 5-speed manual transmission.
Oh yeah, sorry.
How do you get all the fluid out of it? How do you empty the torque converter?
There is no torque converter on a manual transmission.
Oh, I thought we were talking about automatic.
Yeah, I was thinking of automatic, but yeah, when you pull one of the cooler lines on an automatic and you run it through, you clean all the fluid out of the torque converter as well. It's a really easy way of flushing your fluid.
Most torque converters have a stove plug in them, and you rotate the converter down to the bottom. There's an inspection plate on the starter side, and you rotate that down to the bottom. You can pull that plug out, and it'll drain out of there.
Yeah, I thought that plug was higher than the bottom of the where the pool's at the bottom, so I didn't think it all came out.
Have you ever seen how a torque converter operates? What's inside a torque converter?
Yeah, kind of.
Cut one in half. It has a bunch of vanes in it. They're scooped vanes, and just rotate that plug to the bottom and pull that plug out. It'll come out.
All right.
Yeah, most GM ones don't have a plug though. Unless it's been fitted at some point, they don't have a plug. Just like a lot of the old transmission plans didn't have a drain plug. They expected you to take the pan off, change the filter, so they deliberately put no plug in the drain pan.
That's how my wife's Volkswagen Passat is, and I was driving it the other day. It feels fine when she drives it, but I drive it harder, and when I step on the gas to accelerate, I feel it. I feel it shuddering a little bit as it moves forward, and I'm thinking
that's in the valve body.
That just sounds like a good flush would fix it.
I doubt it. The valve body's sticking.
That
what do you say,
bad.
David? You're the mechanic, not me.
Well, yes, it could be the valve body. How many miles on it?
About 80-something thousand, maybe 100. I don't think it's got 100 on it.
It could be the valve body. Also, it could be the transmission filter itself in the inside of it. Inside the pan, there's a filter in there.
That's possible. Not picking up the fluid fast enough.
Exactly. This is one of the things that with automatic transmission. If you don't change the transmission fluid at the intervals recommended, it's usually a good idea just not to do it, because it gets the paste built up in them, and when you put new fluid in there,
flushes it out.
Yeah, it's a cleaner, and it'll go and wash that stuff out. It's kind of like varnishing a Fox 35, you know, holding the compression.
Yeah. Do you think 100,000 miles is too late?
But
You think 100,000 is too late to do it?
it could very well be the filter, or as Sparky said, it could be something stuck in the valve body. It could be because that's the electronic transmission. It could be it could be the upset solenoid or something like that sticking in it.
Yeah. Excuse me, I got to interrupt. We're not allowed to have music playing by YouTube. We're not allowed to have music playing in the background.
I'm over here in Benny's, and they got it loud, and they try to get them to turn it down. I can turn down my volume if you can do that, or the mic or whatnot.
Let me turn it down from here and see how it works. You leave yours alone, and I'll do it right here. Okay, say something now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that made any difference or not. I think it's better. But anyway, I'm sorry. I hated to interrupt that conversation, but I had to say that. Now, I forgot where we were. But I
I'm
think
changing your transmission fluid. I'd put a new filter in it. See what it
I
does.
think I know what I need to know now. So, which is not good. I think I'm going to take it and have them more than a Jiffy Lube. I'll take it to a regular shop and see.
Take it to a transmission shop. Have them take the pan off, change the filter. That way, when it fucks up, they can say, you can say, "Hey, you broke it.
Yeah,
fix it."
Yeah.
I don't want anybody that's not an ASE certified tech working on my car.
ASE don't mean shit.
Well, it does, doesn't it? It's a leg to stand on if you got to go to court or something.
Just go to a regular transmission shop. You can kind of find out what one's good in town.
Yeah. Okay. Good idea.
Yeah.
Amco.
Question.
Amco, really?
Does the stuttering stop after it warms up?
I don't know. I haven't driven it that far.
Okay, because if it appears after it warms up, it could very well be the filter. But if it gets worse as it warms up, then it's wear. That means there's something wrong in it.
Okay, thanks.
So
I'm not going to tell them shit. I'm just going to tell them the symptoms.
Just let them handle it and see what happens.
Yeah, I'll tell them the symptoms, and that's all. I
had that on a Kia
tells them
last
what
year.
he thinks is wrong with it. So, you know, that makes it easy on them. They can always say, well, you said it needed blah, 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 you know. So I'll let them figure it out. That's what they get paid to do.
But I did it on the Kia that I had when I sold it. But before I sold it, I had to replace the filter. And it didn't look dirty, but I replaced the filter, and that solved all the damn problems with that thing.
Is it one of those metal mesh filters that looks like the thing under the microwave oven?
Yeah, but it's real fine.
It's got a shield over it too to keep excess stuff in there from getting in it. Its sole purpose is to keep the wear material from the bands and all that from recirculating back into the valve pipe. That's what stops it.
What are those bands made out of? Steel, right?
The bands, they are steel, but they got a friction lining on there, and plus inside the transmission, there's a clutch pack in there. It's got steels and frictions in there. It's kind of like a motorcycle clutch. It kind of looks like a multi-disc motorcycle clutch inside the clutch basket. I don't know.
We're gonna get a strike on that music.
Huh?
We're gonna get a strike on that music.
If you want me to, I can jump off because I can't do anything about the music.
If you got a headset and a microphone, maybe that'll help.
Unfortunately, I don't. It might be best I knock off.
Yeah, I hate to do that, but we really will get clobbered for that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, you know, that they've gotten that.
I'll tell you what, though, I enjoy it when you come in. You always got something good for us. So,
nice to meet you.
Yeah,
it's nice to meet you too, man. I'm sorry I couldn't stay any longer, but it's because of this YouTube being nasty about music. So
yeah. Well, okay, man.
All right, yeah.
We'll see you on Monday, maybe.
Okay, I will try to see if I can find places a little bit quieter.
or either that, or maybe you can get maybe a $5 headphone set at the dollar store or something like that.
Because I try to use my gaming headset, but my gaming headset won't fit the jack. So go figure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get an
man,
adapter.
take it easy. Sorry, I couldn't stay any longer.
That's
All right,
okay.
buddy. Take
Take
care.
care, buddy.
All right, now be careful. All right, bye.
Yeah, he brings a lot. I'm glad he comes in and visits us sometime.
Even that little bit, I bet we get a hit on it.
God, I'm glad I know that now because I was just about ready to break into a song.
I don't think that'll bother us about that.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, last time Mike's talk on combat models was really intriguing. I found that very interesting. He was talking about the fast combat with the 35s, the Nelsons, and the
I didn't
slow
realize there
combat.
were
And
so many variations on it.
yeah, it was really, really interesting.
Yeah. Steve did a good talk the other night about going to the world team trials and all that too. I went back and I rarely go back and listen to these, but I sat out on the porch the other day when I was bored and re-listened to that one. And that was a good chat we had that night when Steve was talking about Samantha.
Yeah, sometimes it's just good to go back over and listen on YouTube because sometimes I've got to break away because if the boys want something to eat or something else is happening, or I've got to do the dinner and I have to break away and go and
I
do that.
notice y'all keep it on the tube sometimes and listen to us because
Just throw them a slice of bread and a piece of bologna and duct tape them to the chair.
he's got to keep them well fed so they can go out and play with him.
What did you do to your
Well,
hand?
they're pretty- Oh, me, I broke my arm pruning a tree.
Oh,
I was
that's
on
right. I remember now
ladder.
you saying something about that.
Yeah, on the ladder. Oh, I've got another week, and then they should take the cast off in another week or so. So I'm looking forward to that. It's just really hard, even bolting a motor on it. So
Well, take
tricky
the side cutters and cut that thing off.
I don't want to go back in and
College
be
and cut his
operated
off
on.
about 2 weeks early.
Won't hurt
Just,
you.
well, you can tell everybody you got in a fight over your wife's honor, but she wouldn't give it up.
Hey guys, I'm
I've got so
gonna
used to
hit
now.
it tonight. I gotta get up and go to John's tomorrow.
Okay, Sparky, see you later. Hey, listen, yeah, I'm having trouble getting to the computer a lot lately, but sometime I really want to figure out the peer end stuff. I don't think you need to show me a lot, so we can switch over to that. So maybe one day this weekend. So what's a good time for you in the early evening?
We could do it Sunday, I guess.
Or even late evening.
6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Hey,
Maybe
I was gonna
so.
say too, tomorrow when you cut them that foam, you do that. You should take some pictures of that that feather light or whatever they call that thing, and put it on Stunthangar.
Yeah, okay. I'll take my camera gear over there.
Yeah, that'd be a
Yeah,
good
I
idea.
mean, a lot of these guys have no idea, and I think that would be pretty interesting to them.
All right, man. We'll see you later, and whatever. If I find a good time on Saturday, I might text you and see if you want to do it then, something like that.
Saturday I'll be busy. Tomorrow
Okay.
I'm busy.
I have
Sunday.
no idea what my social calendar entails, so I'll just have to wait and see.
All right,
But
guys.
anyway, see you
All right,
later.
take it easy, Sparky.
See ya.
There wins state line.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya. All
Yeah,
right.
must be a few people busy tonight because I don't see on a lot of the regulars aren't on tonight.
Jamie's watching the World Series. He came on right when we started on YouTube and texted us, and I hollered for him a couple of times, but he hadn't spoken back up. I asked him what the score was, but he didn't say anything, so I guess he's not paying attention. I don't know about Charles and Terry, and Wally was trying to join at one time and never did get in. I just saw his little marker pop up once. So it's a slow Friday night, I guess.
Yep.
I'm glad it's Friday though. I'm tired of this week. I'm ready to get better and get back in action. It's getting.
How's your hip doing?
I'm still on the walker. I can't walk without it. And when I get up, it takes me 20 minutes to get from my bed to my chair in the den.
Did you see a doctor about it yet or not?
Yeah, but I'm going to go see an orthopedist, I think. I hadn't made an appointment yet, but I believe it's time to maybe take a look. They got x-rays and stuff, and they said it's not broken, but I probably ought to get another look at it. I don't think it is either. I wouldn't be improving, which I am, if it was broken.
Yeah.
Well, you said you might have overdone it getting ready for the event.
Yeah.
Do you think it is sprained or something?
Well, I'd been limping on this for weeks, maybe even months. I can't remember now, but it was getting worse and worse. And Thursday, when I was getting ready for Huntersville, staging, cleaning my car up, all that, I just think it was the last straw. And I'm glad that I didn't make it to Huntersville, because if I had, and it had gone out up there, which it would have, then that would have been a whole nother mess. So,
yeah, it's not always pleasant when you're under a lot of stress and you push yourself too far. One time we went to the Nats and I was really sick. I had the flu and I just started taking more and more ibuprofen painkillers. And by the time we got to the Nats, I just kept having nosebleeds. And my wife said, "Well, we just have to go home." I said, "No, why I'm going home? I'm here. I'm flying. I'm just going to keep going." And it didn't look good. People just think, "Oh, there's a guy dying on the flying field here." But no, you just want to keep going. It's the hard thing when you push yourself too far.
Last May, at the 2 contests, at the first one at Huntersville, my right hip was hurting. This is my left hip is bothering me now, but my right hip was hurting, and I could do everything. It was making me limp a little, but I could do everything except get up from a squat. So every time I launched a plane, I had to crawl as fast as I could on my hands and knees off the pad and onto the grass. Got my knees all bloody, and I thought that was ridiculous. But I could still, once I managed to get up after climbing up on something, I was good to go, and that was kind of embarrassing actually, but hell, I got out there and did it. I actually won one of those contests too, but this is the other hip, and it's a whole different feeling. It's whatever it is. It was bursitis in the right hip, but it's something.
All right. It's the bottom of the 8th, Houston 5, LA 3.
Okay. I'm guessing Jamie's Stroh's fan. But anyway, Al, I took out the whole gray hair gripe session tonight, so nobody else gets to talk about anything that's wrong with them.
Now, with your hip, you being on dialysis, do they got to watch what medicine they give you and stuff like that?
Yeah, it depends on what's metabolized by the kidneys normally, or what's metabolized by the liver. And the ones that are metabolized by the liver are free for me, because I don't have any problem with that. No liver problem. But anything, including food, that's metabolized by the kidneys doesn't get metabolized until Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, when that machine actually metabolizes it or takes it out of me anyway. And so that's what I have to watch out for. And every bit of it,
I was wondering if different medicines would affect that.
Yeah. Medicines, food, everything. And also the amount of fluid I take in, needless to say, it doesn't come back out until the machine takes it out of me. So every sip of Coke or water, or the water that's in the food I eat, stays in me too. So I gradually get heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. So I have to keep it below 2 kilograms for my body weight. The heavier you are, the more fluid you can carry. But all I can take in for any length of time, even over the weekends where it's where it's Friday all the way till Monday, I can not take in more than 2 liters or 2 kilograms of fluid.
Wow.
And the more
are you on the list?
You have to pull off, the harder the treatment is on you. If you feel like if you take off more than what you should be carrying, then you'll feel like you've been tied to a rope and drugged behind a motorcycle when you get through.
Oh, okay. Now, are you on the list to try to get a transplant, or?
I got one in 1987, and it worked for about 15 minutes. And they went to bold back then procedures to try to save it, but they didn't want to kill me trying to save it, so they quit. They just tore my immune system completely down. And after that, as luck would have it, and I consider myself the luckiest son of a bitch in the world, I had a heart valve. My aortic went bad, so I got an artificial heart valve now. And anytime you got something like that, you've got to be ultra careful about getting any kind of pathogens in your blood that could stick to that valve and cause an infection. And so that goes for oral hygiene and everything. But if I had another kidney transplant after having had that valve, I would have had to take the immune suppressants to keep the kidney, and that would have left that heart valve open. I would have been long gone. I would have never even flown. I would have never even flown bigger than the half-A planes I played with when I was a kid. And you know, so, and my son, my son's 32 now, and I got started the week after he was born, and I had to see him graduate from high school, and wanted to see what he wanted to be when he grew up. Now he's grown up, and he be something now.
Good.
And, so it's all cool, man. It's you know, been great.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
So
we gotta be grateful for what we got.
Yeah, you know, that's just like, you know, with me with prostate cancer. Everybody's like, "Oh, 40 years old, you're so unlucky." I said, "Now they caught it time, and I'm still here 17 years later. I guess I'm pretty lucky."
Yeah.
Hey, Charles finally showed up.
Hey guys. Doing well. How you guys doing?
We're
Very good. What you been up to? We were wondering what happened to you.
Yeah, I was at the our church had a harvest festival tonight.
Oh, okay.
With the wife and kids and hanging out.
Well, I kind of figured if you weren't on here, it had something to do with the wife, but I didn't know if she told you couldn't or.
Oh, funny. Yeah. Yeah.
Charles, did you say whether your wife's ever flown an airplane?
No, she's never flown it. But I might be able to get her to fly now that I have more airplanes. She was just too afraid of me losing any of my planes. So
yeah.
Well, you can wait till next year for the Ringmaster deal, and if it's the first flight on a Ringmaster, we had 2 this year.
Oh, wow.
And then you get 45 points or something for it, or I don't know what it was, but yeah, we waited, had 2 people that had never flown come out and fly a Ringmaster.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
I'm probably gonna be embarrassed if I go back and watch this. I've been eating pistachios the whole time we've been on here.
Oh, that's cool. Get some protein.
I watch myself eating Mike and Ike's, and it's rather unsightly.
No, it's okay.
It's fine, yeah.
That's why I don't go back and watch these things, because I don't want to see what in the hell I look like.
Now, on most of them, up until just recently, you never had enough light to be able to see you.
That's probably a good thing.
Kind of like Michael from Colorado. He always sits in that dungeon. You can't ever see him.
Well, if you've seen me real good, you'd probably get fined from YouTube or whatever. And
maybe.
Have you been flying much, Charles?
Yeah, I flew today, and you know, I really enjoyed flying the Strega with this Stalker 81. It's just becoming really like a best friend. You know, I really am beginning to love it. You know, I flew it at the contest last week, and I only had maybe, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 flights on it. You know, prior to the, you know, since the time I had the crankshaft break, which is back in April. So just getting reacquainted with it has been really fun. You know, it just flies so well. And now I'm actually widening the my line space on my handle to get more response, and it's more responsive, but it's not hunting or anything. So it's just I'm just enjoying it more and more.
Oh, it
You know
sounds
what
good.
I
You got on
did?
the groove.
On mine, I made an adjustment that I talked about back in the midsummer. An adjustment I decided I should have made a long time ago is rather than widen it, I just took the upline and pushed it out as far as I could that way. And all of a sudden, I'm hitting low flat bottoms, bang, same day.
I'm not sure if I understand what you did, Rusty. What'd you do?
It's a cable handle. Okay, so you
Pardon me.
you got the two wires coming out of it, and I took the upline, and it's on a bar, an aluminum bar. So I took the upline and slid it as far that way as I could go.
Okay, I follow
And
you.
reset neutral, you know,
Right.
and that was the biggest improvement I've ever made adjusting a handle.
Yeah, your handle is amazing how you can, after a while, just you kind of you get used to the handle, and it could be wrong, you know, but you get used to it.
I was finding myself having to do this, pull in towards me and rotate my hand when I turned insides, but not outsides. When I use more elbow in my outsides because I do this, but I don't have that much down. I don't know if that's neutral and that's down. That's up for me. So does that look like a normal wrist motion?
Yeah.
That's down too. Well, let's see. I just moved my elbow, but this doesn't move my elbow at all. Okay, neutral, down, but it made all the difference in the world. For whatever reason.
Well, that's like with Samantha with her flying now. She's at the point to where she's really picking up on how the airplane turns one way more than the other.
Yeah.
That trimming. You know, we always, get the wing level and getting the CG right. But now it all is on exactly how that thing is turning. And I don't know, I guess as you get more comfortable flying the pattern and get better and better, that you can think about other things instead of sticking it in the ground or whatever, just doing what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any other stunt pilot to help coach y'all, her? Or
no. She's the best stunt flyer in this side of the state.
That makes it tricky.
That makes it difficult. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't have a coach either, but I do fly with an expert flyer whose name is Dave Sabon, and he's he has some acclaim out here in California, and but he's not really my coach at every single flight, but he helps me from time to time. You know, it's not something that we do all the time, but if he sees something, I guess that's glaring, he'll let me know. He's working on. He's helping me fix my hourglass. He says my second corner is not a strong enough radius, and so I'm working on that.
Well, I tell you what, if anybody can get out there by Derek Barry, have him fly your airplane.
Yeah.
That boy can trim shit so fast and know what's wrong. It's just crazy. When we were at the Nats, I mean, he was making changes like I couldn't believe.
Now, do you let him use his own handle or what?
No, he flew with Samantha's handle.
Did he change the adjustments on it for himself?
But he flew with a tight handle, but the first thing he said is, it was like, okay, this is turning outsides faster than insides. So he was adjusting the shit out of it. And then he's like, this is pretty good. We got to do it. And I end up having to come home and adjust the elevator and stuff. But it was really hard to believe how fast he got that close and how much. And that's when it clicked in Samantha's head now on how that airplane is turning.
Right.
After he did that, it's like she could really notice what he did to the airplane. And then when we went to other airplanes, she's like, okay, we need to change this now. Because that
Yeah.
was the deal, that she couldn't tell me what she needed. I
Right.
can't fly, so I don't know what she needs. I can look at it and say, hey, this, your inside squares are better than your outsides or whatever.
You can tell her rudimentary stuff, but not really the
Right.
with the
So I didn't
inside.
know how much she had to fudge when she started her turn, when she had to come back off and quit the turn, so it didn't overturn or underturn and all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
We put together that Vector 40 electric,
Okay.
and it came off the bench like almost perfect.
Wow.
And she really loved that airplane. And now she's like, I'm afraid I'll never get an airplane that flies that good. But it just happened to be. Well, I told her, I said, well, we just got to figure out, how that flies, or flew, how it did fly. Now you got to be able to tell me what needs to be done so we can get it back another airplane like that.
Right. Exactly.
But Derek did a lot of shit there at the Nats. It really helped a lot. And then when we got home, changed stuff, and then got the handle back to about neutral, because we had hardly any outside, and adjusted all the inside as far as we could adjust it.
Did
And
he
still
adjust
wasn't enough.
anything on the airframe?
Yeah, well, I had adjustable push rods in the airplane. I'm glad I put it in there.
Oh, good. Good.
Always do, yeah.
So I ended up, we went like, I think he said put in a couple turns. And I'm like, holy shit. We did that, and that got it fairly close. And I think I ended up having to open it back up and put in another half to get things just about right. I wasn't going to go to, me and Smith were going to go to Chicago on Sunday to have Chris Rudd was going to fly it, see if we can get it even better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that's good.
But it's like, for us to get any help, I need to drive 4 hours.
Wow.
But we'll see what we do on Sunday, because now I guess her World's plane is going to be an electric. We don't have the electric done. I'm going to talk to Chris and say, well, do you think we should spend the time building on the electric and finishing that up, or trimming out this other airplane that she won't be flying at the World Championships?
Yeah. Work on the plane she's going to fly at the World Championships.
That's what I'm kind of thinking. I'll see what he has to say. But because we got the SB-11 flying really, she's flying that one good, but Chris and Bob McDonald helped trimming that. Well, all the guys there at the World Championship, that qualifier, they're all watching, and I mean, everybody could see it, what I wasn't seeing, and they knew what to change and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it was so fast. It had been like 2 months of us playing around with shit that they had done within like 3 flights.
Right. Yeah.
And they knew how much. That needs a 1/4 ounce, or that needs a 1/2 ounce on the tip and all that kind of stuff. And it needs this much flap tweak. And they're looking at it, tweaking flaps. And it was like, holy shit. It was just, they knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to ask Derek to fly my plane next time I see him.
Yeah. That boy can fly.
I finished it.
We used to have stunt workshops here, and when we had a stunt workshop, we would swap each other's planes and trim each other, give tips on trimming each other's models. I remember doing that back in the 80s, and it was really, really good to actually learn a lot about what you're doing. And I remember when I first started flying, me and my brother were doing our figure eights wrong. We were flying them, I think, like a lazy eight or something, but we were doing it wrong in the early 80s. And it wasn't until we met a proficient flyer that we learned how to do the maneuvers properly. Just how to approach a maneuver, the height, where you approach it, where you exit, things like that. You couldn't always pick it up looking at a schedule in a book. And having workshops were really good. But,
and it's engine run and all that kind of stuff, and the amount of nitro, and them guys, that have been doing it for so long, they know, that you need to, take some pitch out of the prop and or you need to add it. And I mean, they're good at it. They've done it so many times.
Oh yeah, some of these guys have been flying for years, so they know.
Yeah, so Bob McDonald, you know, he's top-notch flyer, but he's about 3.5 hours away. And then Chris Rudd, he's 4. So, yeah, we got a pretty good drive if, you know, but they're all really nice. You know, it's like Bob McDonald, you know, told us that we can come there and stay at his house. We don't got to rent a motel or whatever, and he'll help Samantha. You know, but it's always been getting the time when she's with me and we have good weather.
Right.
You know, now she's working. She gets Sunday off, so we can do it Sunday, but you know, school and work and all this, I mean, it makes it pretty tough when you got to go so far to do this kind of stuff. But it was really worth it going there to the qualifier. And I mean, we got a lot of help, and it's making a huge difference in it flying.
Yeah.
By giving her an airplane that flies halfway decent.
Does she fly mostly all the same size planes? Has she got a particular weight range and power range that she flies best and prefers?
Actually, right now she's flying that SV-11 with that Roadjet 76 in it.
How big is an SV-11?
It's 730 square inches, 720, something like that.
So like 55-inch wingspan, something like that.
Yeah, it's the biggest plane that Randy, you know, designed or whatever.
Is it more like a Magnum? I mean, is it that big?
Oh, it's bigger than that.
Draga?
Magnum is about 700, so it's bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's probably about the size of the Straga.
If it was a guy, my first question would be, how much do you weigh? Because I always wondered, you know, I couldn't handle that 72-ounce Magnum I had, and I was wondering if I weighed any more, would it be a lot easier? Like I only weigh 128 pounds, or I did at that time.
It's actually with the trim, because that SV-11 weighs 62 ounces.
Oh, that's nice.
After I got done doing it. Her Tempest weighs 56 ounces.
Wow, that's also a very nice weight.
So there's a big difference. But the Tempest hurts her hand, it pulls so hard.
Yeah, I've got my P40 makes my hand go numb, and so will the Twister on a lean run, and those are 51 and 55 respectively, I think. No, the Twisters, I'm sorry, it's right at 50. Yeah, I think.
So once they got done trimming the SV-11, it pulls less than a 40 size airplane.
Well,
and it flies better. But I mean, a lot of it is in the trimming on the lead outs and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
It's hard to believe. You know, it's like there's, you know, people are saying it only needs to pull so hard to stay out there on the end of them lines.
Right, right.
But we got something with that, with the Tempest. It's crabbing out too far, and we're having to make it pull too hard to keep it out on the lines, because it's masking some other problem in the trim.
Yeah, that's right. I think you were talking about that the other night.
Yeah, so we got to get that trimmed out, and then more than likely, all that hard pulling is going to go away on that 40, because 56-ounce airplane should not pull her arm off.
Yeah.
No.
If y'all ever had to do any vertical CG adjustments, like lightening or making the wheels heavier or something, so when you're hanging from the lead outs to make the wing hang straight up and down?
Yeah, I have.
How much difference has that made in your trimming?
Well, for me, I did it because I was having an outboard wingtip up flying level, and I checked my flaps; they were all straight, and so I did this vertical CG test, and I saw that my my landing gear was too heavy, which was making the outboard wingtip come high because of centrifugal force. So I put some lighter wheels, and then I think I even put lightning holes in my landing gear, and then it flew better, flew level. You know, so yeah, that's one time that's happened. And but it's something I'm always conscious of, the vertical CG and also the other CG. You know, it's all it's all important. You know,
I
it's
guess
all,
that's vertical. I never know the names of them for sure.
yeah, the vertical CG is when you, like you said, you hang the plane by the lead outs, and you hang a plumb bob down the
Down
leading
the
edge
lead edge. Yeah.
see if it kicks out a little bit and or if it kicks in, and then you adjust your landing gear or add weight to the top of the fuselage if you need to.
Boy, that's not an easy one to adjust if it's way off.
Yeah, usually it's not. I mean, I've even I remember one of my planes, my Tudor 2, I needed more weight below the center of the fuselage, so I actually put OS Max has an extension for the mufflers, and so I put an extension on the muffler to get the weight of the muffler lower. And I even in that case, I even added weight to my landing gear. You know, so I've had it both ways. I've had to take weight off the landing gear or add weight to the bottom of the plane. And but it all helps, you know. I mean, it's not always exposed flying level, because when you're flying level, centrifugal force is actually your greatest force, and it can mask your vertical CG. But when you go straight up over the wing over on top of the circle above your head, you know, that's when you can really see sometimes if your plane is straight or not. You know, if it's kind of hinging or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for other
yeah, but it's all,
for hinging and
it's a
turning,
hinge.
for hinging and turns, I like to fly and then yank it straight down or yank it straight up and watch for hinging at that time.
Right. And then that's a combination of your lead out rake and your wingtip weight too.
Yeah.
That hinging could be that. So
oh yeah, that was I was talking to Bob Hunt about that too, and it's like with airplanes, they put spats on them and wheel covers and stuff like that. But they said that's a lot when the wind blows, because it depends on how big your rudder is and stuff. It'll like change that vertical CG.
Yeah.
It'll push it up, down, and
those things are airfoils too. I mean, they can guide the air if they're crooked the slightest bit.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like having your car wheels cocked to one side or the other.
Yeah, your toe is messed up on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's so much stuff in trimming these airplanes. It's just crazy, you know. It really is.
You know, I find it so fun when you actually figure out something and then you do a little bit that makes it better, and I just can't wait to do a little bit more to make it a little bit better. And I want to know where the edge is, where it falls off, and then I'll back it off. But I find it fun to just keep pushing, try to get more and more and more until it just falls off, and it's for me it's just so exhilarating to be keyed in, to be dialed into something where you actually can figure that out. Because sometimes, and especially earlier, I didn't have a clue, you know. And I just
Houston 153.
What?
Anybody's following World Theory.
Also those little cubs that he's got here that he was showing before. It's one of those things where you learn trimming when you're flying a free flight model, and I suppose it's quite an important skill that you gain just by experimenting, and at least it's not a difficult thing to experiment with. But yeah, they're getting an appreciation just about trimming there.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, that's an extremely good elementary thing to learn. It should be elementary. That is one of the elements of the art of flying.
Yeah. You know, most free flight guys that do control line are really good trimmers because they had that experience from free flight, and also they can build light. There's a lot of things. I don't do free flight, but I definitely appreciate free flight for build light and being able to trim, because those guys can do them both very well. And when you come up against someone in control line stunt who has a history of free flight, look out.
Well, that was the same thing with a buddy of mine. When I flew RC pattern, when he started flying RC, they didn't have. They just had like a rudder control and no motor control and stuff like that, and getting them to land. It all had to do with trim.
Right.
You know, so he knew how to do that. So when he got a pattern ship, he could fly it and knew how to trim them. And there's so many people that fly RC that don't really know how to trim that airplane to get it to fly really good without you know, they got trim tabs, so it's like, oh, it's turning to the left. Well, we'll just keep adding, you know, the trim into the radio to trim it straight. But now you got stuff on that airplane that's really causing drag, and
Yeah, they all getting
you
that
got to
crossed
flap
up.
up and down and stuff like that, to where he could, you know, like there's a warp in the wing, or you wanted to tweak this and that, and he could make them fly to where you didn't need to have all that mechanical stuff in the radio, you know, trimming them out for you. And it really made them fly better doing all the pattern, because you can trim for one thing, but it may affect another deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always you're trading for something and giving up on something else. It's a trade-off all the time.
Yeah, that's the same thing with flying stunt. You can trim for the wing over, and that can mess up the top of a square or whatever. It's all that trade-off, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's quite neat because they're even getting an idea of CG and all. People will come onto the circle and they've got the model right off, the CG's off, the line rates off, and they've got no clue. But if they just learn the basics of aerodynamics, they'd have a better idea too. But yeah, I've seen it quite often. Or they'll come on and they've got the completely wrong line length, and they're just so far out. But it's all part of that trimming, is knowing what you need to do under the circumstances. But I remember an adage somebody said many years ago: you can practice perfect mistakes, but unless somebody's critiquing what you're doing, you'll just keep practicing perfect mistakes. If you don't something to compare.
Exactly the way I've heard it stated before. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent.
Yeah, muscle memory, man. You're training. Oh, speaking of muscle memory, I was watching Sparky's interview with Paul Walker, and he said he was flying at the World Championships one day, and he was just flying his pattern along, and realized that the loudspeaker behind him was announcing one of the racing contests, I think, or combat or something. And he said, did he realize he was listening to the guy on the loudspeaker as he flew and wasn't even paying attention to the pattern he was flying?
Bam!
Wow.
and that was a year where he won too.
Wow.
Good night.
Hey.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, you guys.
We appreciate y'all coming. Thanks for all of your contributions, Gerald. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Getting there.
Again. We're gonna buy it there. That's why they wanted me to stay.
Oh.
Or who's saying good night?
I think it's Steve.
Oh, no, I was talking. Samantha just got home. She just got back from the movies.
I thought Gerald was saying good night. So
I think he did. No, Gerald's still here. Somebody left, I think.
I'm lucky my wife's home right now because it's Saturday afternoon and my wife's cooking dinner, so I'm free. I can talk.
I'm hallucinating something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was probably Samantha talking about her girlfriend.
I was busy watching the cartoon show that goes through my head occasionally. I drift off doing that. When I came back, I thought y'all were cutting out on me. Oh well. That's like being inside of my head's like watching a cartoon show sometimes. That's what I tell them.
But I do think I'm going to get off though, because it's 20 after 12 and getting late.
Okay.
I was tired, but I didn't realize what time it was.
Yeah,
having so much fun.
Yeah, I usually shut down about 12:30. We might hang for a while, but yeah, we had fun tonight. It was a good show. So.
All right, you guys. I'll see you a little later.
All right, see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Good night.
You know, Rusty, I was going over my scores from last weekend, you know, and one of my flights I actually got 40 points on inverted flight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have, you know, and I've been complimented on my inverted flight several times. I don't think I've made higher than I don't know if it's 36 or 38. I'd have to go back and look. But that always comes really easy to me, especially if the wind's not howling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I had that video that I did when I was flying the Strega back earlier this year, and I didn't know how much gas I had in the tank, and so I kind of cut my inverted laps short. And I remember someone on the forum commenting, "Go, you didn't do all the laps in the."
Somebody always catches that shit.
Yeah.
When
And I responded. This is back in April. I said, or maybe it was even March. And I said, this plane flies so good inverted, it's almost a waste of time even practicing it. So I got some proof right here, the score sheet. That it really does fly really good inverted.
Is that the only 40 you've ever made?
I think so. I think I might have one other 40, and that was a overhead 8.
Oh, good gosh, that's my worst. I have so much trouble. I stumble when I do it too. That's new, but still, I was never good at overhead 8s.
Yeah, but you got to do all 15 maneuvers good. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
I mean, I didn't do too bad last time. I mean, I had a personal best of 520 by one judge, and then the other judge gave me 505 for an average of 512 and a half. But yeah, you got to do good. I have to do good on all of them. I still want to do even so much better, but I don't want to get to the point where they start saying you need to be an expert. I really want to stay in advance for a while.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm looking.
My buddy Mike Linsky is the same. He can't understand why I'm going to advanced, and he's flying 500s in intermediate.
Wow. That's out here in California. I don't know. I mean, if you're getting 500s in intermediate, I think you would be getting a lot of.
He's pretty sure he wouldn't be getting 500s in intermediate in California, or not necessarily, but at the Nats, for instance.
Okay.
So he is comparing himself to Nat scores and thinking Huntersville's a lot easier to make a good score and win than it is at the Nats.
Yeah.
I haven't had that comparison to make, but he said it was a real eye opener to him that that he wasn't as hot shot as he thought he was after moving over from combat to stunt, and he's been beating me ever since. But what kills me has always been my crappy bottoms, and I do the intersections and shapes really well, but so he's determined to get to a Nats level 500s intermediate and then move up, I think is what he would tell you about what his plan is.
Do they try pushing you up?
What'd you say, Gerald?
So do they try pushing you up to a higher class once you start getting those sorts of scores? Do they try and push you into the next class? And
no,
what they do is
it's just all a matter of what you feel like you want to do. It's personal choice. But if you go taking trophies away from people that you really shouldn't be taking trophies away from, it's time to move up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But the scores is just one thing, but it's like, how do you rank, against other.
Well, you know what, too, as I said, made that last statement, I'm thinking that who you beat would vary from area to area. So you might fly intermediate in one area and advanced in another area. Like
Ding ho.
Be in
Hey, what's up, Terry?
Huntersville, I don't know, and then intermediate if I were to go to the Nats or to Brodak or something like that. Hey, Terry.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. How you doing tonight?
Good. So I just came in when you were talking about Samantha's plane pulling real hard and everything.
Ah, okay.
It's all in the trimming. Do you remember we talked about this? Most of these U-control guys, and I see guys flying around here, they're flying on centrifugal force of their airplane, and that's not how it's designed to do.
No.
It shouldn't be pulling that hard. You know,
Yeah,
and,
you're right.
and you
It's trying to fly away from you.
seriously,
It's trying to fly away
seriously.
from you.
I mean, you want it to definitely, if the lines go slack, you want the plane to dip the outside wing and try to help tighten the lines.
Yeah.
But you don't need it flying on centrifugal force. And see, a lot of combat guys, you've got to fly on centrifugal
So you
force
can
or you're
feel the
not going to
plane.
survive.
Yeah, you can't always be looking at the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
But for stunt, let the airplane fly, man. It's designed to fly.
It's like
You
the
know,
circle should be a groove, just like the rest of the
you know,
stunt.
listen, there needs to be a better blend between all the RC guys, the soaring guys, and the power guys. See, in RC, the soaring guys, they're shunned by the power guys. Oh, you guys are crazy, you know. Oh, do you have electric motor? I go, yeah, I do, but I don't like those. I just like to launch with a bungee, you know. Anyway, it's basic airplane tuning. That's all it is. And I own a feather cut machine. My friend, I was sitting with my wife. My wife's got off, and you know, some of our retirement dreams appear to be blossoming, so she can quit work. And you know,
Oh man, that's nice.
yeah. So my friend's texting me saying, my buddies are texting me. Get on. Where are you? Get on Stunthangar. They're talking about feather cut. Get on there quick. You know, do you know how many, Charles, how many foam wings, blue foam, do you think I've cut for sailplanes? How many?
I don't know.
Hundreds. Thousands, yes.
Wow.
Thousands to make hundreds of wings because we cut multi-sections. And the cool thing about it, listen, if you're interested in doing more than, I figured it out. You know how I am with numbers. If you build more than 3 foam airplanes, especially sailplanes, in your future, buy a feather cut. And
what
you
is
can.
A feather cut?
It is a hands-off neochrome wire, hot wire cutting machine. And the guy that designed it, just simple engineering. And the secret to it, or the hardest part, as everybody was discussing, is to, when you have the chord of the wing maybe 10 inches, and then out at the tip, maybe you got 4 inches. And let's say you want 2 inches of washout on the tip compared to the root, and it's a 6-foot wing section, 6 feet, one wing, 6 feet, glider.
Yeah.
You hook it up on the feather cut, and all you have to do is know the thickness of your cord and your tip, the distance, and the width of your cut. And then there's a table. Here's where guys get confused, because there's so many different foams, like the 2-pound normal white styrofoam. We normally, in the sailplane guys, because we're cutting really thin airfoils, we use that blue foam. It's like 8 to 12 pound. And it's usually used in refrigeration or, building refrigerators and so on. Like Home Depot sells it. It's a 4x8 sheet.
Right.
That blue foam. Now, that is a closed cell foam, and the cells are filled with nitrogen gas. So
there you go. That's what I want to know. I said air earlier, and
yeah, it's nitrogen gas.
Okay, excellent.
And that's real good. Yeah, and it's real good because if you build like long easies and things are built with this foam. So if God forbid there ever is a fire, what does nitrogen do to a fire? It starves it of oxygen, puts it right out, can't burn. Yeah, it's great stuff.
Besides the wing smoke.
But you got to have real good ventilation,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, that's it.
you know, we
Airplanes too.
No.
I worked up like a snorkel device using those flexible dryer tubes.
Right.
And
It's
people
so
think I'm crazy, but listen, knock on wood, I don't have any lung problems and stuff. And when I do spray, I try to get the overspray out of the room as quickly as possible. But I'm breathing through a tube that's giving me fresh air
All right.
from outside. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
man. Keep
yeah.
protecting your lungs is
Oh, it's incredible.
way more important than people give it credit for.
Yeah. You know, John Brodak mentioned to me that, you know, those throat cancer issues were supposedly balsa dust related.
Yeah, I heard.
And then Ken Willard, what a blessed soul that man was. He used to be a contributing editor to Radio Control Modeler for probably 25 years. And the name of his column was The Balsa Dust Factory.
Right.
And he had, I believe, lung cancer issues. And I don't think he was a smoker. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in that. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I never guessed. I just learned recently.
My wife is calling me. I will be right back.
All right.
Be right back.
Okay. I just learned recently that balsa was a carcinogen.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow, I didn't know that.
No, it's not good news. No. What do you want to say? What do you think?
Talk about the AMA Cub.
All right.
Me, Dad, and Max have one. Max just built his.
His brother Max, yeah. Got one.
All right.
We've all got one, yeah. We've all got one.
I don't know.
Do you fly those indoors?
You can fly them indoors, but they're a little bit heavy for indoors. He just wound up the motor and you busted it, yeah.
I wound it up too much.
Yeah. Yeah. When I remember flying the toy ones of those, we would get when we were kids, and I used to like to see how many knots I could get in that rubber band.
Yeah, and that's what the funny noise was a few minutes ago when Terry was talking. It was the rubber motor under breaking.
Yeah, well.
That's pretty cool.
Very nice.
Now, has that got any incidents built into the wing and stab?
Yeah, they cut the tail at an angle to get the incidents in there. So very simple design, but effective.
It's got negative incidents in the stab, doesn't it? Yeah.
It had another problem. It had snapped there, but it's a nice model. I only just broke it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we can fix it.
And then the dihedral stabilizes it real well, I suppose.
Yeah, they're a good little flyer. But yeah, we can build in a couple of hours. They're very easy and quick to build.
Have you ever seen the little tiny, just gossamer winged planes that some guys make and fly indoors?
Yeah, we've competed in indoors before, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And
even ornithopters. I think they make ornithopters like that.
Yeah, I haven't made the microfilm covered models. It's where they pour dope on a water surface, and they lift the dope off and put it onto the wing, and you had that microfilm covering. That was amazing. But when you see them flying, it's very awe-inspiring.
Have you ever seen anybody that made an ornithopter?
Yep, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen an ornithopter.
I've never seen one in real life. I'd love to take a look at one though. Hey, Terry's got his earplugs back in.
Okay, I'm back.
My
wife said I can go back and play with my friends.
I was just asking Gerald if he'd seen anybody fly an ornithopter. That we were looking at the little tiny rubber powered planes his son had. And, I was talking about when I was a kid trying to wind up the rubber bands too tight. And but I was watching some guys flying these tiny little gossamer winged planes about this big indoors, and that was some of the most amazing flying I've ever seen.
I love that stuff.
But the ornithopters actually flap their wings like a bird.
Yep. Yeah, I think to be declared an ornithopter, the wing has to flap and also rotate a certain amount.
That's right, it sure does. But that would be hell on a pallet if you could build one that would carry a man.
Count me out.
Stabilize. How could you stabilize this pallet cockpit?
You know, I have friends in the aerospace industry, and long time ago they told me that they had through electronic printing, which is even way better than 3D printing, that they were building radio-controlled dragonflies that were running on little nuclear chips, and they could put a chip in your car and this thing would follow you up to 2 years.
I wouldn't be surprised if the military didn't have stuff like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wait, what are those things?
Yeah, really.
They're all over me.
They're all over the place. Yeah. But getting back to the ornithopter, you know, I was talking about wondering about how to stabilize the cockpit for a pilot, and you could do it with superconducting magnetic suspension, maybe. I don't know if we've got the technology to do that or not.
I don't know.
Well,
I think I'm going to skip right ahead to the anti-gravity machines that we already see zipping around our skies, and they call them UFOs.
Let's see what Gerald's son wants to show us. Rusty?
With
let's see.
Inertial
that's a beauty.
That's really nice.
I was telling you that this, and I said, I might bring it down for you, but then bring it down. It was too high for me. Well, I think Dad should tell a story.
Oh, yeah, I've entered it at the national one here.
That is nice looking. Is that rubber band powered?
Yeah.
It's a rubber one.
Wow.
And
Yeah, what a beauty.
And
But what happened was
is that a Gwillows?
It's a Gwillows kit.
Is that a Gwillows kit?
Yeah, beauty. Yeah, 172 or 180, right? 180.
No, it's a 170.
Oh, 170. Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful job. Very classic paint, man. Very
Now, can you buy props with different pitches and lengths for those planes?
Yeah, you can. A lot of people hand carve props themselves, but I've just used a plastic prop. And I entered it at our nationals, and they were flying at an indoor stadium. My nose weight shifted, and I couldn't. I couldn't pull it apart. I didn't make it.
Got to grab a charger.
So I was basically ruled out by moving nose weight. So another year, we might try it again. But it didn't take long to build. The actual construction itself, the balsa structure, and you took a little over a day to build the structure. The finishing takes a bit longer than the construction, really.
Yeah, it is really nice.
Sure is.
Now, I imagine that's tissue, or is that silk span, or what is it?
Yeah, it's just a silk span tissue that comes with the kit. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But if you want to enter it in a contest, you really have to plan so that you can trim it easily, you can get to your motor easily. And I should have had a bigger chunk of the front curl come in to be able to replace the motor easily as well. So,
If you look carefully, you might be able to see rubber band.
That is really nice.
Yeah, well.
Very good job. Very impressive. Very impressive.
oh, yeah, I don't see you saw on my son Otto brought on some of his plastic models that he's making and used to show
Oh, that is nice too.
Before.
No, I haven't seen it before.
Yeah, that's his little Hooker Fury.
Got a lot of ribs in it.
Okay.
Like it's got a lot of ribs in that wing.
Yeah, it does.
That's a plastic one. But yeah,
Plastic.
yeah.
But, yeah. I'm thinking okay, so.
Oh, I can smell dinner cooking now. I think we're gonna have to quit. the smells of dinner are wafting in.
What does it smell like?
My wife's decided to cook a salmon curry for us tonight. So
Wow.
Oh man.
yeah, it's very tempting.
Oh,
I
man.
don't think I can hang out much longer.
I
Do
understand.
you guys cook too?
Sorry? Oh yeah,
Do you guys cook too?
I cook, and sometimes the boys will help. I'll get them peeling potatoes and carrots and things. But I do most of the cooking during the week because I normally work from home. I do restoration work. So I'm normally at home, and I'm the one that cooks the dinner. So I enjoy it on weekends when I get to enjoy my wife's cooking for a change. So we'll sign off for tonight and bid you all good night.
Guys.
All right. Good job on the airplane, gentlemen. Good job.
Well, have
thank you.
All right.
a good
thank
night
y'all
and
for everything.
bye.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Thank you for all of your contributions tonight. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay. See you, Charles. See you,
See ya.
See you, Rusty.
See you all.
Somewhere along the line, I got my YouTube chat box screwed up and I couldn't read it, and I finally got it back. And now let's see, we've had Robert Ladd, Jamie came back and posted, and then Alan Parrott, and a bunch of guys I missed. So to you guys on YouTube who I missed, I'm sorry. I appreciate you coming and watching us. I hope you're still out there. I got the chat box back now.
Well, if you guys are interested in feather cut, I'm going to be cutting some wings here, I would say, in the next, the beginning of the month.
All right.
And
Okay.
the whole thing with this, and Charles, did I send you that favorite film on the how Ford took over, like he built and designed a Liberator plant during World War II up in New York?
You know, I haven't checked my email yet. The last ones I actually saw was How to Fly a Mustang, a P-51 Mustang.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I didn't see it all, but I
this
really
one
liked
was
that.
probably before that, so possibly I'll resend it. You know,
How to Fly a Mustang. What was this, a video or something?
Yeah.
No, it's from a school up in yeah, it's where I got my LOA, but it's a really nice video, and basically gives you. Well, what did you get out of it, Charles? That would be real interesting for
I didn't
me
see
to.
it all, but I didn't realize that the P-51, was such a heavy plane to fly. It took a lot of muscle strength, and that you just need to rely on trim, as opposed to actually, flying it with the stick all the time. I didn't know that.
So what, you got to be white knuckle the whole time you're flying a Mustang?
No, it's just it takes a lot of effort. It's a heavy plane, and it's a lot of effort to move the stick. And so,
well, you feel resistance, but you can like when you're up to speed, you can like you heard about the aileron roll. You just bang it as hard as you can, the aileron, full deflection, and you don't have to stand on the rudder or anything, and you just let it go, and it just rolls beautifully. But yeah, that's a good video, and I was glad that it got posted, and it really is a good retraining video, because all the points that he talks about and all those maneuvers that he goes through are maneuvers that you need to demonstrate to the flight instructor / FAA inspector to get your LOA. Letter of authority.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You
That was
get a
my next
letter.
question.
I'm sorry. Letter of authority says that Terry and the Pirates can go fly a Mustang.
All right.
Oh, speaking of Terry and the Pirates, I have been playing with my tablet a lot since I've been sitting in the chair so much lately, and I've clicked through Terry and the Pirates to see if nobody's ever in there though.
Oh, well, we were there Wednesday night at 9:30. We were there. I don't know how long. And then, yeah, see, what was it, last Friday? Yeah, last Friday, we had quite a few people on it. It was after Stunthangar. It was late, but some of these guys are in Wisconsin, so they're like an hour, earlier than I am. I'm East Coast,
Yeah.
Like when we talked to Wally and good old Charles, they're 3 hours difference, 4 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours difference. Only only 9:45 here.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm doing a lot of little parts for the to clarify this, to get a plane to win today at a lot of your RC contests in scale, even let's call it standoff scale, you better have something going other than rivets and panel lines and exhaust marks. You better have a canopy that can open, and you better have a pilot in there, because the pilot covers up a lot of stuff that you have to show otherwise. And then there's guys that say, bullshit, I want a fully decked out pilot with LED lights and gauges and all this stuff. So I've had friends that have purchased those Micromart 3D printers and different 3D printers from online stores, and I'm doing those little resin copies of gun sights and throttle quadrants and all that kind of stuff for the Top Flight P-47.
Can we click up Terry and the Pirates right now, and while we're still doing this, and take a look and make sure that I'm going to the right place?
Well, I'll click over there right now, and
I will too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to sign off here.
I'm just going to stay on here.
Yeah,
well, I tell you what, let's stay on long enough to make sure I can get in.
Sure, absolutely. Let me see here. Appear in. Let me find it here. There's like Appearing and the Pirates, and
it's Appearing and Son, Terry and the Pirates.
Yeah, I'm there now. And there's also Terry and the Pirates. I have two of them. I'm always looks like.
Okay, let's see if I'm there.
Yeah.
I got.
Okay, here's Terry.
So
it's appearing.I/Terry & the Pirates. So it's both Terry and I are here in Appearing, Rusty.
Okay, hang on.
I can send you the link now, because I don't somehow Rusty and I can't link up via email. So I'll send you a request and you can email it to him.
Okay. I mean, forward it to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do that. I think I can still do that. Maybe I can't now. I don't know how to get back in there to send the request.
Okay, I should be popping in.
You know what?
Scrap that.
Is he in there?
I'm coming. Hang on just a second. It's loading now.
All right.
All right. There we
Oh, here you come. Here's someone, anyways.
Yeah, here he comes. Yeah, I love this appearance. You know, it's you don't even need a special program. You just type it in your toolbar, the address, and it should bring it up. As long as you want
Well, Max, better. Oops, I gotta turn the sound on off. My
here.
yeah, I got y'all's mics turned